Hello, my name is Bruce, and you're watching A Girl, a Guy, and a Movie. Tonight, we're on episode 40. 40 weeks of this. It's amazing. Tonight, we're going to talk about a really sweet film from 2000. And boy, I thought it was 1999 whenever it came out. But nope, it was the big 2000. And I have with me tonight the lovely Janet from Another Planet. Janet, how are you this evening?
I'm great.
Fantastic.
How are you?
I can't complain. I really wanted to talk to you about this film later on, but you were like, no, we're going to watch it now. Okay, cool. This is a 2000 American sci-fi movie directed by David Twohy. The brothers Ken and Jim Wheat made the story, and Jim Wheat kind of had the idea for it. This film stars Vin Diesel, Rada Mitchell, Cole Hauser, who is damn near a superstar right now, and
he got way better looking as he got older too. Rawr. And I like him when he's a cowboy. Sorry.
Oh, you're good. You're good. Before we get deep on this film, let's say hi to our people in chat, because without them, we're just talking to ourselves. But first one in.
I talk to myself a lot.
Understandable. Got my buddy Draconic Cherub, also known as Stian for Saturday's game. You're chatting with him. She meant kick-ass movie. No. We can say lick-ass movie. Either or.
I was so embarrassed.
And we got Shadow and Sun popping in. Hey, Shadow. Decepticon's Cave of Comics and Toys. Hey, DC. What's going on, sir? Yeah, I still have these movies on DVD. Janet, Queen of Typos. Yes, that's fine. Hey, Six Nation 31 Kings. How you doing? Hello, the Fat Gamer. He's not the only one. I'm a fat gamer, too. Shadow and Sun and Six Nation 31 Kings chatting with each other. Good to see that everybody's mostly getting along fairly well. Life's good at the moment, no complaints. Streambot, thank you for joining us. Papa Cotton, how you doing, buddy? Wookiee supremacy. What's up, Papa? That's when you argue with yourself. That's when the problems start. Okay, Janet.
They've already started.
Tell me about when you saw this film, because I think you saw this in theaters, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
What was it like? Were you there opening night, or were you there like one of the follow-up nights?
It wasn't opening night, but it wasn't busy. I was surprised. It was only like half full when I went to see it.
Really?
Yeah. But I thought it was really, really good. I loved it.
Now, up until this point, there was this little known guy known as Vin Diesel, and he had been seen in two movies basically up to that point. One was called Strays, which I think is probably his best dramatic work. Sadly, that was also 26 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And then he was in Saving Private Ryan.
That was a good movie, too.
I love that movie. That'd be a good movie for May, for Memorial Day. That's probably one of my favorite war movies right there. But up until those two movies came out, didn't have a clue about them. I didn't even see Strays until 2011. And that was an eye-opener. I just thought he was a guy that ran around and had a low voice and made all the women pretty wet. And, clean up on aisle 5.
He's one of the first guys that I thought was good looking that was bald. I mean, I've never, but I don't, the only thing is, as he got older, he got more buff, and more muscular, and I'm not really into real, like giant muscles and stuff. I like mine, tone and defined, but not giant, like Arnold Schwarzenegger, I thought I never thought his body was, I just think too many muscles is not my not what I'm looking for. I guess it scares you, scares some women because they think you're gonna pick them up. They're gonna pick you up and break you in half or something. I don't know, but yeah, the bald head. I never really turned my head to see someone that it was bald, but after seeing him in this movie, I was like, I think I could go for a bald guy. So, oh well, I guess anything is possible sooner or later.
One of his better movies he was in, I think it was 2006, was called Find Me Guilty. And he played a real life mobster that had been captured. And on the stand, he just made every one of the state's attorneys look like a fool. And he let his hair grow out. And then he shaved part of it to look like he had male pattern baldness. And he's still a decent looking dude in that film. He let himself get a little bit of weight. He's one of those actors that he will not go the distance as Christian Bale will. Christian Bale will turn into a human AIDS patient to get a role right on the physicality of it.
Yeah, probably.
He'll go all the way to look like he's suffering from some severe malady. And
I think Vin Diesel, depending on what movie choice he makes, he would, do whatever he thought he needed to do to get the part. It's just that
do stuff.
He's not. He's like we've talked about some of the actors that we've lost last year. Mm-hmm. He's not one of those type of actors. He's not a method actor. You know what I mean? No. He's in action. He's into action. He's really good at it. And that's the one thing I've seen in a few actors is that they tend to try to go into a area of acting that they really weren't ever meant to be in. And it really hurts them. And then it's that one stain on their really, really good resume because they tried to do something like that. So I hope he doesn't try to do something just because he's getting older and the parts are getting, slimmer. That he doesn't try to do something that's like way out of his realm.
I honestly think that the Fast and Furious franchise will never expire. That is a moneymaker for Universal Pictures. This is as guaranteed in the 2020s as Shaft was in the 1970s. Mm-hmm. You will not lose money on a Vin Diesel film from Universal.
Mm-mm.
No, they did with this movie and the sequel to this movie and the third part in the series. Vin is not too flexible of an actor, but he does not fall into Terry Hogan, Dwayne Johnson areas. No, he doesn't. He doesn't come off that miserable.
I just don't think Dwayne Johnson is really an actor. You know what I mean? To me, he's like someone that you take from a commercial and try to put him into movies. Now the guy that played Candyman, that actor that's from the Allstate commercials, he's a better actor than Dwayne Johnson. Definitely. I've seen him in TV shows and all kinds of stuff, and he's a believable character, but he doesn't try to overstep his boundaries. You know what I mean? He's got that, I don't know. He just seems like he's smarter on his acting choices. I'll put it that way.
I'll go with that.
But, a lot of people just, they just want the money, or I don't know for sure, because I'm not them. But I just wish that more people cared a little bit more about what's going to be left behind, when they're not around anymore.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, most of the people from Big Trouble in Little China are still alive, but how many more years are we going to get away with saying that before we're like, stumbling on the Blues Brothers movie? If you go down the list on IMDb, the Blues Brothers, it's getting pretty close to 50-50, 40-60, and that's kind of sad and scary, but that's where we're at.
What do you mean for ratings?
No, for people that are still alive today.
Oh yeah,
that was made in 1979, and they were in good physicality, they were in good health. Most of them, except for Jim Belushi. He was.
Well, I hate to say this, but I think that we're going to lose a lot of younger actors in the next 5 years.
Are you saying that's because the jab? Because the boosters?
I don't know. I mean, it's after this Miss Presley passed away, and there's been a few others. I can't remember everyone's names, but I've seen a lot more names, young, famous people's names starting to come across the tables. And it's sad, though, that we've got lots and lots of young people that are dying and or being having a stroke and being paralyzed and other health problems now that nobody talks about because they're not famous. So they just have to, live with their parents for the rest of their life, or their grandparents, or have, their wife or their husband take care of them.
It's not even really all of that. I mean, you still have situations where, like, you have Jeremy Renner goes outside to help out his neighborhood, turns on the snowblower. That was my leg. He's probably going to be given some sweetheart deal from Disney.
From what I saw, it wasn't a blower; it was a like a snowplow type thing.
Yeah,
and he went out in front of it, and it ran over him and got his leg trapped and
destroyed his leg.
Yeah. So, that's what I'm saying, though. It can happen. That's why I tell people all the time to try to enjoy every day the best you can. Try not to go to bed angry. Try to, even though it may be really shitty and everything you touch just seems like it turns to shit, to try to make the best of it, because you might not be awake tomorrow. You might not ever wake up, or the person laying next to you in bed might not wake up tomorrow. So to try to make it, just make the best of everything you have, because you just don't know if today's your last day to enjoy what you have. I know I'm sorry, I don't mean to go off on that, but to me, it's just so realistic to me.
Mm-hmm. And it needs to be said. And I know some people are like, "Oh, this is a downer stream." No, not really.
No, this was a really good movie. It was fun. It was a fun movie.
It's been 22 years since they released this film, and since then, Vin Diesel has mainly stayed in his lane. He's done a couple bits of comedy, like in Find Me Guilty. He was in a good drama role for a supporting actor in Boiler Room.
Mm-hmm.
He was in the Fast and Furious movies, although I could do with a little less over the shoulder look behind him. I'm just saying, Vin, we've overdone that maneuver a little bit too much.
Well, when you go to see, it's just like John Wick. I mean, after he makes 5 movies, I mean, you're going to get sick and tired of seeing him, just doing this.
But John Wick does a new fight style in every movie. He's not repeated his fights.
Well, not yet. But I'm saying after you've done 5, it gets harder and harder to come up with something you haven't done yet.
4 comes out in 2 months.
I know, and it looks really good. I mean, but see, that's another thing about Keanu Reeves, is the fact that he tries to stay in his realm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I love 47 Ronin. That's my favorite movie by him. And a lot of people are like, whatever, but I still love it. I just absolutely love him in that part. I love that type of movie. So
when I saw that movie, I absolutely riff tracked it the entire time. I screen talked it, and there was only like 6 people in the theater. I brought 4 of them, and then there was somebody down way below us, and they left halfway through because they're like, "This movie sucks," and I was there screen talking the entire time, just riff tracking it. This Mystery Science Theater 3000 the whole time. I'm sorry that you. We're not going to agree on that movie, and that's okay.
That's fine. I don't, I have no problem with you not liking the movies I pick, and I feel the same way about some of the things you picked, but that's what makes it fun, Yeah. And
I would have loved it.
Nobody likes the same movie as everybody else either. There's always going to be something you don't like.
I would have loved to have heard your commentary throughout Midnight Meat Train now, because
no, you don't.
The first 2 acts of that movie are fantastic, and then like the 3rd act, like where you just like you bottomed out. You're like, what the hell?
It just got so over the top ridiculous. That's the only thing. It was just really hard. But when you go see a movie just for the entertainment value of it, it's a little different than watching it to critique it. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So like watching the Walking Dead, a couple of episodes on that where, you see them, okay, and the older gentleman that wears the overalls all the time, the farmer guy, he's missing a leg, right, from the knee down.
Yep.
Well, he hobbles over there. They get him to sit down. He puts his crutches down and stuff. And then the camera pans up and then looks down and under the table. And there's 6 legs, but there's 3 people sitting there. So, after a while, you can't help but notice stuff like that. Sometimes it pisses you off because it ruins it for you. But, that's a casualty of watching lots of TV and movies. You see that stuff.
His name is Herschel, by the way.
Oh, Herschel, yeah. Okay. It's just been a while since I watched it. I quit watching it when they got rid of Carl's son. So that was a long time ago.
Wolfton Media is going through the chat, and he's just quipping lines off the entire film. I thought I said no shivs. You mean this? This is just a person. I mean, apply it.
Yeah.
He does have some good one-liners in that movie. It's not like the level of lockdown one-liners, but it's pretty damn good.
Mm-hmm.
I like this movie. I don't like all of it, but there's for intents and purposes of this section, the movie could be about 15 minutes shorter, and I would really like it a lot more. Because what Twohy filmed and what he put out, there seems to be there are some scenes that are just filler. Like they could have gone more on the paranoia aspect for everybody. They could have just gone, more in character instead of making all the survivors just nameless NPC number 5, nameless NPC number 6. Oh, this guy's got a name. His name is Dink.
Well, like in the scene where they're in the beginning, where they're in the ship, okay, and you can see they're going through the ship that everybody's in like hydro sleep or whatever, and then you see the little tiny bits of fragments of the asteroid going right through the ship like it's a piece of cheese, right?
I love that.
And once you realize what's happening, it gets your adrenaline pumping because you're like, what the heck? They're going to crash. I mean, how else? There's no way, they can not crash, because they're going to run out of oxygen. So they basically, and they were lucky as heck, that they happened to be flying over near a planet,
that's got
when this happened, that actually had breathable oxygen, on, this, so they could run around without wearing suits or whatever. So, the whole thing was very intense. The whole crash scene, the way that she handled the ship and everything, and the way they got spit out of the hydro chambers or whatever you want to call them. I thought all that was really, really good and very intense considering when the movie was made compared to today. And I found myself comparing the movie to what was the name of that movie or the TV series that was just out with Mars and stuff? Oh, darn it. Cannot remember it right this second. The Expanse.
Oh.
A lot of the technical, the way the inside the ship looked, things like that, which is a really bad habit, to do, is to compare one movie to another. But I know you do it a lot when it comes to like fight scenes, the way that people handle themselves with the weapons and things like that. You're very integral, about that kind of stuff. To me, I do know how to use a weapon and things, but I'm not so picky about how they're holding their weapon or exactly right, or how they reload it, things like that. I mean, I give a lot of people a pass on a lot of that because I can, it's a movie, you know what I mean? I realize it's a movie, and little technical things like that aren't such a big thing unless it takes away from the whole scene or the whole movie. One really bad scene can take away from the whole movie, or a really, really good scene in a movie can make a movie better, to where you're glad that you actually got to watch it. You know what I mean? But the whole opening scene to me, right off the bat, you had your blood pumping because of the whole aspect of not knowing who's on the ship. You don't know who it is and who's dying. And then when you see the captain's, his thing says captain on it, and then you see the things going through him, you're like, oh shit, they're screwed because there's nobody that can fly the ship. So that was all very intense and everything. I thought it was really good. And then
I
you didn't
really like the
realize.
first part.
I'm sorry. What?
I really like the first part of the movie. Like Act One, the crash was just great.
Yeah, I thought it was excellent. I mean, I thought that um, I really thought it was really good. I thought it was well acted. I thought that it seemed very believable the way they filmed it in the upper angles, like in the camera, like sitting on the floor looking up, to give you the aspect of how small it was, the small areas, and the one guy freaking out and going up and down the little tunnel stairs and things like that. Um, Now, I hate to say this because I really like him in Yellowstone, but a couple of scenes I felt that he overacted big time.
Cole Hauser.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He
When I
he just tried to make it so dramatic and so intense that it should have been a little more natural. Like she did excellent. I thought she was very natural, and even the other brunette, I can't remember what her name is, but she
Shazza.
was very good too. I mean, she was excellent at keeping her cool. During the scene where. You'd expect certain things, like when the one scene where she thought Vin Diesel had killed her friend.
Mm-hmm.
It was a believable scene to me.
Very
Even
calm when she was trying to haul off and beat the hell out of him.
well, she just wanted to, hurt him a little bit. But I didn't think, no one could think that she could take him out
No.
unless she just started shooting him, from a distance. But she just wanted to hurt him because it really hurt her really bad. But that was the one scene where I had a little bit of a problem. Is that he sticks his head in a hole in the ground, and they're on a planet they'd never been on. I mean, I just thought that was kind of dumb.
Yeah.
And when he is taken and there's blood splatter everywhere and meat and whatever else all around outside the hole, who would want to go in there? You know what I mean? What person, and especially all the dumbasses standing around, letting the only person that can fly the ship go in a hole in the ground? See, that was the only thing in the whole movie that I thought was just totally dumb. And but I could see why they did it. They had to put a woman in peril. But see, to me, it would have been better if they'd taken the other brunette and let her go in there, since she was the one that was her friend. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. To me, that was the one thing I would have done a little different. But because you had that cop guy, the Hauser guy, the actor, he was a drug addict or whatever, because the one guy had to die without any painkillers or anything because he'd been snorting all the the other morphine and stuff that was on the ship for all those people for their medical bay or whatever. And he was an asshole. So which they needed, because you needed a balance compared to Vin Diesel supposedly being such a badass. So I thought that whole thing was kind of doopy, but all the rest of the stuff was pretty good. It's like when the little brunette, after they were done and they crashed, and she's thanking the pilot, she acted like she had been on many flights and had seen lots of different disasters and landings and things like that. And when they all looked back and you could see the huge rut in the ground,
The huge ditch that the ship caused, and there's all those spaceship parts that some
and
scavengers gonna look at like, I need
capsules
$1
from
million.
all the people that were supposed to be, on the ship going wherever they're going to go, their destination, their capsules are like, beep, boop, boop, just here and there scattered. But, she did save a few people,
Yeah.
I mean, she did the best she could, since she was basically just thrown out of her bed. We don't know how long for sure they were sleeping after the asteroid broke up and went through their ship, right?
Yeah.
So I thought she did a really good job. I would have been thankful if I'd lived, But then the scene where
If it wasn't scraped off on the canyon wall back behind us about a half mile, I'd be pretty thankful too.
well, the thing is, and then you see little fires and smoke coming up here and there from all the damage that was left behind. See, I thought that was excellent, and it looked real. So
Yeah.
the CGI was really good for that part. But the fact
that
when
part, yes.
the one guy starts climbing up the side and he's trying to get in, and that other guy that was crawling around outside picking up stuff pulls his gun out and shoots the guy. And they're like, what are you doing? He was one of the survivors.
Sorry.
So, I thought that, and I really felt really bad right off the bat when I started watching it when the almond guy, I guess you'd call, what do you call a shaman? I
The
guess.
imam from
Yeah, imam.
New
Okay,
Mecca.
the imam and his three little students or whatever. I mean, when none of them could speak English, and they really were, nobody's, that I've never seen or heard of. I was like, they're all dead. That's the first thing that popped in my head was they're all goners because they're nobodies. You knew the kid that wore the hat like this. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to wear. I made myself a hat. I put some swimming goggles on top of it, and I wanted to wear it because I wanted something that looked like it. I was gonna try to make myself look like I had a shaved head, but oh well, couldn't do anything about that. But because I thought she was adorable, the kid that played that character.
Yeah, they used a different actor or actress for the sequel, which I kind of was sad about. But once I saw the new actress, I was like, hey.
Well, I think they wanted to give her a little more maturity,
Yeah.
which the other one didn't have yet, really.
No.
So, to me, they both did a great job, and they were believable for their characters. So it didn't take away from the movie that it wasn't actually the same. Now, if the second movie came out and there was another guy playing Vin Diesel's part, then we would all went, what? So the character that really mattered the most was in it. So, and there was a few others, recognized face, which was the imam guy. He was in it with his wife or whatever, because that's where he was supposed to be going, to that new planet. So, I thought it was good, the second one. And I think we're going to have to do that one later because I thought it was great. I mean, I really thought this, I love sci-fi, and I just thought it was a good, very good action sci-fi movie. And I thought everyone that they picked, even the dweeby guy with all the wine and the other alcohol.
I like Paris.
Yeah, he was a really good character, but he was very, he was definitely rich and stuck up. So he was happy to be alive and that his goods survived the crash. So, all the characters did really good. And the fact that they put him up on the top of the one little, I guess was it the leftover part of the ship, or was that the building that they found?
Part of the ship, but I could be wrong.
He put the umbrella up and had a chair sitting out there, and you could see off in the distance, all the way around when they did the different angles with the cameras and stuff. And that was one of my favorite scenes, was when they were all like talking about, they were trying to find out where he'd went when they couldn't find him, and they found his collar and his handcuffs and stuff. And then the camera pans around and you see him sitting up there in the chair under the little umbrella, and he's drinking that guy's alcohol. I thought that was a really good scene. You know what I mean? That part. Do you remember it?
I just watched this last night.
Do what?
I just watched it last night. They had him set up on the ship, I believe.
Yeah, I thought that was really good. But the thing is, when from the distance, the way you could see that the heat, how they had that heat haze, that it kind of makes it like a mirage looking. And it looked like trees off in the distance, and then they all start getting closer and closer, and you could tell it isn't trees. Would you kept going anyways?
I'd probably go more closer towards the trees. Once I realized the mounds were just dirt, I would have not stopped there. I would have kept going. But when they found the outpost, that was pretty good.
Yeah, now that was good. But what was funny to me, that part of the thing is that when they got closer and closer, thinking there were trees, like in Africa, because it was so cool the way they did that. Because I've watched so many documentaries, about Africa and Zimbabwe and all the, different things, and they show the different types of trees, and they're really, fingerly, they just kind of like have just trunks that go up like that, and then they have the flat like tops on them, which I think it has something to do because there's so much, so little rain that it's made to capture as much rain for that tree to bring down to the root, the way that it grows. And I just thought that was very good. The director or whoever, I guess it would be the director, looking through the camera, wanting to show how much that looked like those type of trees off in the distance with the haze that made it look like, a mirage almost. I thought that was really, really good. And then the towers that came up were almost like anteater towers, or that ants would build or termites would build in other countries, like in Africa. And the creatures underground, a lot of them, they use their spit, the insects, and they build that up to be able to add cool air, and moisture and more oxygen down into their hives or whatever. So I thought that whole concept for the creatures that were living underground was just, I really thought it was really genius. I mean, for the story, the people didn't know it, but once the story started unfolding, I just thought that was very, very good detail of them doing something like that to make it a believable type of underground creature. I thought that was very interesting, even though I didn't really see any other types of creatures besides those. They were all different sizes, because even the bones that they found that they thought were the trees was a huge one. So they had food.
Wasn't it? Didn't it look like a dead quadruped dragon-like creature?
Yeah, it reminded me of the dinosaurs that we've had that could fly, some of them. And they had those weird heads that looked like a hammerhead shark almost, that came out on the sides like that with the beakish type face. I thought that was really very cool. And the way they made them have vision. So basically, if you didn't move too much, it was really, really hard for them to peg where you were. It was the motion and any sounds that you might make would be able to get them to where they could find you and eat you when they came out. I thought that was really, the whole thing was really good. And then when she, the young captain girl that was now the captain, found that model inside of the drilling area that spun around, and you could see it when she's moving it and how the planets slowly aligned up. I thought that was really, really, really cool. And we knew it was important somehow, but we just didn't know for sure exactly how important it was until later on when she realizes that they're about to have an eclipse. So what happens to the planet? And then the drug addict cop that said he was a cop, but he was really just a mercenary, right?
That's it. He's just a hired gun.
Yeah, to make money off of Vin Diesel's capture. When she realized that, and he was trying to say, just play it off of how long could it possibly last, but the thing is, they didn't realize that they were going to be dinner when the sun went down, and then the place that they were at really wasn't as safe as they thought, because when they looked down inside that hole, that's where all the people went. They never left. And Vin Diesel's character was able to explain that when he said they just up and left their pictures and all their belongings behind. It just didn't make sense. So he knew that they were not alive anymore, that something happened to them. And that, I doubt that one person would just kill everybody and not leave anything. He goes, if they died from a disease or dehydration or whatever, they would have been laying around. They would have found skeletons in the beds or, something. But there was nothing. There was nobody around until they looked down inside that hole. Where their drill was. So I guess it was like a mining. Would you say that was a mining facility?
Geology facility, not really a mining facility, but they were looking to sample as to what this planet had. I think they mentioned that at the start of it, where they were geologists, and they had done
kind of like what we see in Mars. You think?
Say again.
kind of like something that we would see on Mars after we've sent people there?
I would really hope not, but
It's a possibility.
Well, I thought the whole thing with the water, with the solar, fan on the outside that
oh,
moved
I love
around and
that.
stuff, I thought all that was just very, very cool. I mean, it looked, it looked older because it had been 22 years, compared to their, which was kind of funny too. That was another little thing that kind of got on my nerves a little, is that they've got those cells or whatever, the ones that the things that they're trying to get to take to the other little ship,
Mhm.
you know what I mean? From their ship, right? To bring to that little ship, the skip, to use, but they use the same exact type of cells after
The power
22 years.
converter. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, there's no adapter, no nothing. You just plug this in and play, and that's it.
Yeah, so I kind of thought that was a kind of, I don't know, that was it took away from the story to me when somebody that that's a nerd that would say, well, how do you do that unless there's somebody there that can convert it and change it to modify it or whatever so that they can use it in there. But they didn't even talk about it or even really bring it up. They were just saying, just go get them and plug them in like batteries or whatever. And
Yeah.
I'm like, why would they have the exact same batteries from the new ship they were in that had all those people on it, and all the technology compared to this little bitty skip? I had a hard time, swallowing that part of it. But you know what? The first time I saw it, I didn't even notice that. It wasn't even anything that even came up for me. So I noticed it this time because I was actually paying attention to it. So, which was interesting.
I thought Cole Hauser died in the first act, and when I was watching it last night, I'm like, he's not dead yet.
Mm-hmm.
Why is he not dead yet? And then finally, he died in the third act. I'm like, oh wow, I forgot about that, because he'd been there almost every step of the way, antagonizing him, which was great.
Yeah,
thought he played a
and
terrific actor.
I did like the part where
Yeah.
when he took off his glasses, his little goggles like these off his eyes so that the little girl or that they thought was a boy could see his eyes. And the other actress that wanted to see, his eyes too. I thought that was really cool. The way the contacts or whatever it is, how they made his eyes look like that. I thought that was really, really, awesome, because to think about having your eyes done so that you can live in a darker dwelling and be able to absorb more light. I thought that was really cool. So, that aspect of it, especially for the next movie when it comes out, the way that all that worked out, I thought that was really, really unique and different. It was something I didn't expect. You know what I mean?
I do.
For a character that we didn't really know that much about, because you really didn't find out a lot about him. You know what I mean?
No.
There was a lot of, leeway there, because all the steps going on when the a-hole we thought was the a-hole, that was the merc, that was hooked on drugs or whatever, and was just wanting to make sure his prize money didn't get away. When he is saying all these things about how as soon as you get this ship fixed, he's just going to leave you here, that type of thing. You kept saying, no, he's not going to do that. He's a decent guy, or whatever. And then he's going to do it. He really does get that far. And if it wasn't for her going there and stopping him, basically, he was going to leave him, so the other guy was right about him all along. And then when she ends up going back and saving his ass, that's when you see it's kind of more of a character arc for him, because he actually realized that there are decent people out there that are willing to sacrifice their life for someone else. And I don't know, made him. That's why I think in the second movie, the whole aspect of the friendship between the young girl that they find out's a girl, which Vin Diesel apparently knew right, pretty early in the movie compared to everyone else, because she was menstruating, and because of his eyesight and stuff, his sense of smell was heightened or whatever. I guess that's pretty disgusting to think about it, but I mean, it worked for this movie, I thought. In the, the whole creatures in the blood and everything. And what was funny is that one scene where they're like going down this culvert, area, because you could tell, from what I could tell, was that it looked like what you call those in the desert. They have those where all the water rushes across the desert and takes away, and so you have all these little like finger looking things going down the mountains and stuff, because it just eats away at the loose gravel and stuff, right? So they had this giant one and they're all walking in it, and then it starts to rain, and I'm thinking, oh my God, they better get out of there because they're going to get washed away, because it's like a giant
It'll be a
river.
4-inch flood.
Yeah, a giant riverbed or whatever they were on. But when they first started getting stuff landing on them, and I saw it, and it was like a bluish green color, I was like, they're killing each other, and they got, or they're pooping on them. So what I was thinking, the creatures are flying around and pooping on them like bat guano or something. And my daughter goes, no, that's blood, or that's their blood. And I'm like, why would they be bleeding? He goes, well, they're killing each other because they're hungry. I was like, oh, and I totally forgotten about that. So I thought that was really good. Once you
figure that out,
blood, there wasn't poop. So I thought that was pretty good too. But they had to draw that whole scene out where they were fighting, when him and the drug addict got to fight it out. And I was really frustrated though with the one guy that wanted to save all his alcohol and be able to sell it, wherever he was going. Where they had the tubes wrapped around them with the light tubes, which I thought was really smart. The whole thing about making a sled, putting all the batteries on it, and wrapping themselves up in all the light up tubes, and then having the torches and the different flashlights that they had to go through. Because when they showed how when they took that one creature down inside the building and they put light on it, its skin started bubbling and stuff. So it wasn't just the heat of the sun, it was the actual light hitting their skin.
Actually dissolve it.
Yeah, so it was like eating away at them. So the whole thing about them having light on them would be they would be afraid to come close to them, which I thought was a really, really, really good concept and very believable. But then the one guy screws them all over by freaking out and crawling away from them instead of wanting to me, I would have crawled towards the light. You know what I mean? Instead of away from it, he starts going into the darkness. And when he does, he breaks the things that are wrapped around him from the battery cell that they had all plugged into, and unplugs everybody, So I thought that was kind of stupid for, someone to do. But, I guess, when people do different things when they're panicking, thinking that they're about to croak. I've never, been in the situation where I thought I was about to die. So I guess, everybody would react differently. But
we'll drop you down by Hopkinsville, Kentucky, and see if the little goblins from the cave system will come get you, and then we'll see how Janet reacts. Will she wrap herself up in some Christmas tree lights, or will she just panic and start?
What goblins? What goblins?
The Kentucky goblins. Oh, come on! You don't
Never
know
heard
what
of that. I have no idea what you're talking about. I would love to go there. I mean, when I've heard a few things about these different mysterious places that people go, like Dover Lights and these other places that are haunted, or there's like that car that goes uphill by itself. And if you sprinkle the trunk with flour or whatever, you'll see little handprints all over the back, stuff like that. I would love to be able to have the money to travel and do a YouTube channel, make videos or whatever of that kind of stuff. That would be so cool to just travel around the United States and do that and go to all these really weird phenomena, and not just ghost stuff. I'm talking about the weird phenomenons, like the places where there's supposed to be some kind of magnetism where you can lean really far over and not fall, some really weird stuff that I've, heard about from different people that's lived in different places. I think that would be so cool. I wish if someone did have that on a YouTube channel, I would definitely sign up for that.
Well, there was a night back in 1955 or 56 in Hopkinsville, Kentucky, where this family, like, this guy comes in the house and they're like, Larry, what the hell's going on? He's like, I just saw one of them flying saucers land in the gully outside. Like, shut up, Larry. You've been drinking. And then all of a sudden, about an hour later, the dogs are barking and they see one of these things coming up the way from the gully. And so they shoot it. And it sounds like somebody's just like shot a BB in a bucket. It just sounds metal and tinny. These things start getting on the house, peeking into windows. There's like 30 of them from what the account says. There's like 14 people in the house, 6 adults and maybe 8 kids, or it might be flopped. But these things supposedly came out of a UFO, and they've been seen a couple times since then. But it's mainly in Kentucky near the giant freaking cave network. And this is a real thing. Like Mothman. Don't know if they're cryptids or UFO type aliens. No idea.
They had red eyes. That's really
yellow eyes.
Oh, with that picture there, it says they look red.
Yeah, he gave them kind of an orangish.
I would have. If I saw red eyes staring at me, the first thing I would think of is it's a demon, some type of demon coming after me. Now, yellow eyes or green eyes, I would probably think that maybe it was some type of alien or something.
And somebody,
I've had my own alien experience that I told Drew that I would come on and be a guest on his show for his Midnight Prism or whatever that show is. But gosh, that's just so late at night on Sunday.
I'd like to be on your show about UFOs and aliens, but you run it at the same time that Art.
Well, I told him he could interview me and record it and then play it on his show. Because I'm a wuss. I get up so early. I just don't know if I'd have to sleep in that day or something, or take a nap or whatever to stay up till midnight.
Nobody's gonna get the chicken eggs.
Well, I don't get them every day.
Okay. So anyway, back to this movie.
Okay. Sorry. Go ahead.
Hopkinsville meth heads, perhaps. Meth dwarf in Galveston. Oh no. Hey, Bowsette, how you doing? The first act of this movie is probably the strongest part for me, because you've got all the actors and you get to know basically what they're up to. But then after Riddick does what Riddick does, which is escape. That's what he does. He just escapes. He gets away.
Yeah, that whole scene was freaking awesome, where he had his hands behind his back and then he brings them up like that, and you could hear the popping sound. Yeah. And then he pulls it back over his head. I was like, oh, it was so creepy, but freaking cool at the same time to watch him do that. I wonder if he really did that himself, or if it was a stunt person, or if they faked the whole thing. I mean, I would love to find out about that.
I think he actually did that,
because I know some people that can do that with their, with their shoulders, and some could do it with, I think it's their fingers and stuff, to take them out of the socket and stuff and move them around. It's really gross, but it was cool. It was a very cool scene for him to look up and see that break in the beam that he was stuck on and be able to get away that way. I thought that was awesome. I thought that was a really good scene. Very intense. Sorry about my voice. It's cracking. I'm going to have to get me a drink.
It's okay. I'm really, really digging what I've seen with David Twohy's work, but whenever he gets Vin Diesel, he always makes he always puts a scene in where Vin Diesel gets to do like some unusual stunt. And in Pitch Black, that's the scene where he gets out of the restraints and pops his shoulders and then pops him back in place. It's just watching that with sound on. I didn't want to see that.
Yeah, it was really intense, but it was really good. I mean, it was a really, really good scene. And the one part where he's carrying all that, pulling all that stuff himself because nobody was left alive. The girl and the older guy and the woman were in that cave thing, and he put the rock in front of it and left them there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and it was raining, and he's sliding that sled over there, and that's when you knew that he was just going to leave them, that they were going to just die there. And that's when when she realized that he was leaving them, but she didn't want to scare the other two, so she just said, "I'm gonna, go get some help or whatever," and she left because she pretty much knew he wasn't coming back. So I thought that was a really good scene for her, for her character arc. And she just got more badass throughout the movie. And she started off getting thrown out of her, sleep pod. And then she realizes her captain's dead. And then her really close friend, we don't know for sure if they were lovers or not, and he's dying. Okay, so she deals with all that and crashing the ship and knowing that almost everyone on the ship was dead. There's no way they can fly off the ship because, fly off the planet. She's not thinking that there's even people, So, she was in total devastation and reality of knowing that how bad it was, and the other guy was just a dick. So she had to deal with a dickhead that was a drug addict and then an escaped criminal, so she did pretty good, I thought, for her. I mean, she wasn't as badass as Ripley, that character, but she did hold her own, I thought, with the two other badass guys, you know what I mean? So I thought she did a really good job and still being a woman, because I thought the other woman, the brunette, was way more feminine of a character, just the way she carried herself and things like that compared to the more macho pilot. Even though she was blonde and stuff, I thought they did really good at making the diversity between the two women. That more as one was more of a macho type character and the other one was more of a woman with a woman's thought process. But even though she was a macho, she still had the motherly feelings towards the girl especially when she realized she was a girl. You know what I mean?
Yes.
When she came to the realization it was a young girl and she was going through something, a transition in her life, which is your, first period or whatever, it sucks. And to not have anyone to help you understand what your body's going through. So that motherly instinct, mother hen type character broke in. And so that added a little bit more oomph to her saying she's going to kick somebody's ass. I thought it was really good. Mother Bear came out. And then Vin Diesel's character being saved by her, and then she dies. She gets picked up by one of those creatures and flies off with her, and he's able to get back to the ship and save the one guy and the young girl. So even though it was still sad watching everybody die one at a time because of what was going on, I think that the way that they did that, by having them slowly picked off that way, made it a little more believable, because they did have light. They did have a way to defend themselves to a degree, because if the creatures were smarter, they would have realized that those aren't real fire or whatever it was, and it really wouldn't hurt them that much if they were to just jump them and eat them all. But they didn't, thank goodness. But I just thought the whole concept of the whole reason they were stuck on this planet and the weirdness of the planet I just thought it was beautiful when you start to see the eclipse happening and you see the beautiful planets aligning and they're moving in stuff in the distance. I just thought it was, if I was going to die and I got to see something like that, but I know I was not going to die, I could get my chair and get my glass of wine and sit and watch this beautiful thing that no one else is ever going to get to see because we're all going to die, you know. But to get to see something like that and that be the last thing, get to see something that no one else has ever seen, I would think that would be that'd be a good death for me, you know. But I just thought that was beautiful. The whole way that they did that, it was just, to me, it was just gorgeous. Even though it was very, like the light I'm using on my filter right now, I want it to look a little bit like the light that they were in the whole time before the sun went down. I just thought it was really cool, the whole aspect of the filters they use and stuff on the planet, for the planet atmosphere. And then they saw that they had 3 suns, so it had to be pretty hot, you know.
They
But
actually, yeah, they
they
had to get
all
misted
wearing
a bit.
quite a bit of clothes for somebody that's sweating like pigs, and they didn't have anything to drink besides alcohol. So until they got to the place that had people living there, the outpost or whatever. So, this little things like that were kind of, I don't know, far-fetched, that they could have, I don't know, somehow worked it out a little better. Like when they were, had water or something on their, what ship doesn't have water, or they would go out and start buying the big things of water, and bringing it back so they at least have something to drink besides alcohol. I just, I don't know. I just thought that was kind of stupid. But overall, though, I thought the movie was very good. It was very, to me, from the very beginning of the movie to the end, it had action through the whole movie. I don't think there was very many lulls, really. Because when it was calm, it was like they were explaining something, they were filling in gaps. And the poor scene, though, the one person that I felt the worst for was the little boy that was inside there, and he runs to hide, and he's not realizing he's in that room full of those baby creatures.
Yeah.
And when the guy opens the door, and it's going to be something you don't want to see, and then the little body falls out, and it's just like all mutilated because it's been just pecked and gnawed on by this whole flock of creatures. So I thought that was pretty gruesome, but I thought it was pretty good. I thought that was believable.
It was a believable sci-fi movie. It didn't really try to ask you too much. Do you believe this could happen? But it felt more real than a lot of other movies that came out at that time. There was a big flap of films that came out about 4 years later. You had the movies like Descent, The Cave, and all these movies with a similar plot. And they just wanted to make a movie with limited lighting and set design that you could use in a cave, that you could redecorate a cavern 4 different ways, shoot it 4 different times, and make it look like you're in a different cavern over and over and over again. And you did that.
Mm-hmm.
This movie really kind of ushered this in.
There was a movie that came out, and it was about these guys that were divers, and it was like based on a true story, that were going in to try to save these kids that were trapped inside this cave. And one of the guys was the king on Lord of the Rings. And then the other guy was the guy from, God, I'm just terrible with names. I'm awful that way. I recognize faces, but I can't remember the names of people, which is, I guess I'm Alzheimer's or something. I don't know what it is, but it's awful. Sometimes. The guy from the one with the aliens, and they were underwater, and it would take the shape of water, and was looking through the ship. I can't remember the name of it.
You're not talking about Leviathan, are you?
No.
No.
The Abyss or something like that.
Oh, The Abyss?
Yeah. What was that guy's name? The
James
actor.
Cameron?
No, the actor that starred in it.
Ed Asner?
Yeah. Ed, is that his name? Yeah. He was an astronaut. He was in an astronaut movie too.
Yeah.
But that actor was also in this movie about these divers. And they drug these kids. They put them in these underwater skin suits and stuff with oxygen and stuff, and they have to drug them just right because they're having to drag them through these little tiny holes. The professional diver is swimming through, dragging these unconscious kids drugged up. And that's a really good show, but I cannot remember the name of it right this minute. But it's very, very intense. It's based on a true story. But, it wasn't a blockbuster because it was, based on a true story. And it wasn't, I don't know, it was political or whatever. I don't know. This happened in South America. And it was really good. But some of the scenes of the believable parts things that you have to do to get where you're going is one of the things that I liked about this movie. Because when they were in that little cave and he pushed that rock in there, and it wasn't really a cave, it was more of one of those just a divot or whatever in the side of the like I was saying, what are those canals or whatever you would call that?
Like a washout.
Yeah, washout area. So they were basically in that, and over time that would collapse anyways, especially if enough creatures started digging on it, because it's not really solid. That's why water was able to tear it all up. But I don't know where they filmed it, but it looked a lot like it could be in Africa or somewhere like that to me. Utah maybe, or the top part of Nevada, something like that, because of the way the landscaping looked. And I just thought that the landscape did a really good job at making the whole story more believable, because crashing on it, the way that the rut went through there, and then them trying to find water, that whole thing. And that's what led them towards the trees anyways, or what they thought were the trees, because there wasn't any trees. And that's what I was wondering, what all these creatures ate, because when they looked at the barren planet, there wasn't anything. There wasn't any greens, so that, to sustain life or anything. So the fact that they had them all flying around in the air, eating each other, that was very believable for me, for us being crash landing on an unknown planet, and the creatures eating each other, and that's how they survived, because there was nothing else, because the three suns basically scorched the ground so bad that nothing would grow. So the only thing that could survive would be creatures that lived underground because of the heat, the drought, and they were definitely breeding, because that the giant one, they had all the bones in the ground like a giant whale. It was pretty big, so some of them got big feeding off the others, but the whole thing was like little packs of like hyenas or something, but they fly. And they just eat you in little tiny bites until you drain your blood, and then when you hit the ground, the bigger ones would step in and finish you off, basically. So it was pretty gruesome, and you didn't even have to really see it. You know what I mean? You only saw bits and pieces of the different creatures. Almost like in the movie, the first Alien movie, you saw more of the creature that busts out of the chest of the people. The puppet or whatever it is they use, it was creepy and gross, compared to the big ones. The big ones, you only saw parts of its head and its mouth and little bits of arm and leg and stuff. So you really didn't get to see the overall whole creature unless you were able to pause it and fast, slow it, go forward and look at it. The way that they filmed it, which to me was ingenious, because when you only see bits and pieces of something, your imagination puts the rest of it together. So that even makes it even more scary. Like when you're reading a book and in your mind, you're putting together what you think this creature looks like. So it's always going to be more terrifying, because you're going to pick something that's even more gruesome from your imagination than they could probably even put on screen anyways. But I thought that aspect of it was really, really good, to really make your skin crawl, knowing that just within feet of you, that the darkness was so dark that you didn't know what was there. It's almost like what I said when the first time I watched Jaws, and how I'm still to today, I can't do it. I cannot go out where I cannot see the bottom, because when I see the blackness down there, all I can think of is a shark just going to come right up and I'm going to be gone. And I just can't get that out of my head. And so it does affect you depending on how old you are when you see something like that, because it will scar you for the rest of your life. So I don't recommend little kids watching anything with that has to do with even real animals, documentaries or any of that stuff. I wouldn't let my kids watch it when they were little, because I don't want them to be afraid of birds, and when you see vultures landing on stuff and pecking eyes out of stuff, it's too much, too much for a small mind to understand that that's nature, and that they're not going to just fly and land on you and start pecking your eyes out. Like the movie The Birds, that's not going to really happen. One might try to attack you while you're walking because you got too close to their nest, but a whole flock isn't going to land on you and kill you. I don't think that's ever happened in real life, only in movies. But it can scar a child. All of us, I think, have a fear of something from a scary movie or TV show that we watch, or even a book that we read when we were, just too young for us to really sort it out. So I wouldn't recommend taking small kids to see this movie, or renting it and having them sitting next to you while you're watching. Like you said about that one movie you were talking about, your brother woke you up and said, check this out, or whatever, and it scarred you.
Yeah.
Because you remembered it. So, young minds aren't meant to see certain things that they can't comprehend or understand and put it together, because your mind's always going to make it worse. Your imagination
always makes it worse. There was a movie called Public Enemy years ago where you just see the gun barrel of the revolver and it shoots twice, but you're thinking about the police officer they just had on screen, and this guy just shot him. The image in your head of the policeman getting shot is worse than what could have been filmed at the time.
Oh yeah, for sure. Definitely. That's why, that's why I tell people, like when they said, I'm thinking about going and seeing Cujo. It looks really good, but I guess I'll read the book first or whatever. And I'm like, no, don't read the book. Read the book after, if you, because there's some, like, I'm glad the movie was better than the book, because I hated the ending of Cujo. I bawled my eyes out when the boy died, in the book. And when the boy got to live in the movie, I was like, oh, thank God, I like this ending way better. So it's not very often that people will say the movie was better, but like the Twilight series, okay, I read all the books, and the second book was like, I didn't think I was going to finish it. The technical jargon alone, talking about the Indians and, all the different things about how the werewolves and all, all that stuff. It was so boring to me. I barely could get through it after reading the first book. And I just went through it really, really quickly, because it was very, interesting and had a lot of good information in it. But the movies, or were better than, especially the parts about the werewolves and stuff, than the book was. So, but not everybody agrees with me, but it just depends. I'm not really into, some of the parts of the Stephen King's book about it, some of the parts that was just hard for me to get through, because to me, it was so boring compared to the movie.
Sex scenes of adults that are going to be in just 2 chapters out of like 50. I don't want to know their sex life.
Well, yeah, I'm just saying it just depends on the writing style of the person writing it. But sometimes, to me, when people say, oh, the book's always better, but see, I don't agree with that. I really don't. I really, now a book like the Tolkien books, well, yeah, there's no way that you can compare to that. The same thing with Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones TV show was really, really good, but the books I just thought were phenomenal compared to the movie, or to the show. So it just depends on the actual books that you have. Now, I'll hate to say this, I feel sorry for the lady, but I thought the Harry Potter books were okay, or they were good books, but I still think the movies were better. So, see, I have a lot of, just different points of view on some of these books and movies. But so was the Pitch Black? They were books, right?
I think so.
Yeah, Pitch Black and
I
well,
think
okay.
I want to say that I'm trying to think about the novella or novel that came out,
Mhm.
and you got me
Because
now.
I bought
now
the trilogy box, and the third one is a like a cartoon. It was okay, but I didn't think it was near as good
I
as
thought
the.
Dark Fury was before the Chronicles of Riddick.
Yeah, but I didn't see it. I didn't even know about it until after I bought the box set, and that's when I got to watch it, and it was okay. I mean, it wasn't the best,
Now, the
cartoon, adult
novelization
cartoon.
did not come before the movie. It was written by Frank Laura and based on the screenplay by Ken and Jim Wheat.
Yeah,
Differences. They elaborate on the backstory, describing him as a highly trained company soldier who attempted to blow the whistle on Black Ops wet work, and he was branded a criminal.
yeah,
So Owen's death is described. Fry Mercy killed him by pushing the lever into his heart instead of removing it, as it's implied in the film. Owen was the pilot that fell on the console equipment. Jack
yeah.
is introduced as Audrey and known to be a young teenage girl from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the Imam is treated as a name instead of the title, and the cleric is a sect of called Chrislam, which reveres Muhammad as Allah's son and a Messiah. Never heard
Yeah.
of that before, but there's a hyperlink for it. The
Mm-hmm.
companions are male pilgrims, aged teen to adult instead of young acolytes. The pilgrims, I thought, were the red shirts.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but you have these guys with names that are very disposable. Zeke and Shazza are galactic adventurers with a 20-year partnership. The emergency escape skiff requires extensive repairs, as well as power cells from the crashed ship before it can be used. So they had to repair the ship first in the novel.
Yeah.
During the sled run, they use alcohol burning torches instead of glow tubes. There's a sequence when the girl hides underneath it, and they have to climb on a pile of dead bioraptors. John's death is different in the book. Instead of being impaled and decapitated, he's impaled and then split in half by the creature.
Yeah.
Nice. And once survivors reach space, Riddick poses the lots of questions dilemma, implying he will kill them and escape alone, only to pin on John's badge and tell them that Riddick died back on the planet.
Yeah. But he didn't survive.
Yeah. And the chat's blowing up about talking about how Alien was a bang-on movie with the concept designs. With the lights on, you could tell it was with the lights on, you could barely tell it was a guy in a rubber suit. The worst part was the part where Dallas died in Alien. That's just my own personal theory. We haven't reviewed Alien or Aliens, have we?
No, we haven't done any of the Alien movies, which I think we should. I really thought that we were going to pick a month and just do sci-fi one month or something, because we both seem to really love sci-fi and action. So, we could just pick nothing but sci-fi and action movies, and I think we would have plenty of movies.
Now, there's a movie in pre-production. They're doing the scripting for Furia right now. I don't know when that'll be fixed, when that'll be ready, but Furia will be the last movie in the Riddick franchise. And it's going to be Riddick going home to the movie or to the book described, or the planet described in part 2. If you have the director's cut, which is the superior cut of
I have that.
Chronicles of Riddick, that's the one I saw, but all the way through. The other version's okay, but they take out some characters, and the director's cut adds some characters. It gives a reason for them to be on set. But it was really good as far as a sci-fi movie or what if movie. And I don't think it committed any sins. I thought it had a good plot to it, but we'll review it later. We'll maybe in a couple weeks, but there's one movie that I've been getting badgered on that we'll talk about here in about 40 minutes. And Six Nations, 31 Kings says, I think they took a nod from Frank Herbert with combined religions, progressing of spacefaring races, combining bits and pieces of culture, etc., and adapting it as their own. I could agree with that. And then Balzette says, I want to see Janet play Alien Isolation. Janet?
What is it again?
Did you ever play Doom?
Did I ever play Doom? Yes. You're talking about the video game, right?
Yeah, but this would be on PC because you have a monster of a PC, and you could run this game, Alien Isolation. You want to pick up some subscribers? I'm just going to say, do a Let's Play for Alien Isolation.
But see, somebody would have to help me. I haven't even figured out how to put whatever it is you're running this on right now with me on it. What is this called?
It's a StreamYard. That's
okay.
all.
I don't even have StreamYards yet. I would like to even just have one person join me on my channel so I can know how to do it. I don't know how to do an intro with the countdown yet. I don't know how to do it. Jack squat. I'm trying to learn, but when I sit there for 25, 30 minutes watching videos and I'm like going, I don't understand any of this stuff. I feel like a total idiot, and it makes me, makes it depressing because I can't figure stuff out.
Don't go down that dark rabbit hole there. That's not a good rabbit hole to go down.
I know. So that's why I just get up and say, well, maybe tomorrow I can figure out how to do it. Hey, I did a live stream today reading my story, and I thought it was great. And then I realized it was on private. So after it was done, I was like, oh, well, make it public now. So, I'm still not even that good at that stuff. But I am playing right now. I have finally got the Xbox thing on my PC, and I'm playing Goat Simulator. I told you, and I laugh all the way through it. Every single time I play, I laugh and laugh and laugh. But I finally got the devil goat. I had to go and find 5 people, and stick my tongue on them and drag them up to the cliff where I found the pentagram, and take them into the center of the pentagram and leave them there. And it made me a
devil goat.
So I'm slowly figuring it out, but it's funny. I just love this game. There's a couple things I've found that you have to have more than one player, and I don't know how to invite someone to play with me. I don't know how to do any of this stuff. So if somebody wants to come on my Discord and invite me into one of the chat rooms or whatever and talk to me or show me how to do stuff, that would be great. I would love to do that because I think this is fun, and I would do a live stream with Goat Simulator with someone else if I knew how to do it. That's what sucks, is that I just can't figure it out. I'm not smart enough when it comes to the technology. Like the computer that I have, the setup I bought because Bruce suggested I should, or that it was something good to get.
You found a real rocket ship of a PC, guys. I'm not.
Well, the thing is, the setup that I have, the Alienware and everything, I got because I showed it to you, trying to figure out what to get because, I'm just not, I have the Razer microphone and the Razer camera and all the different stuff because I was trying to get what I wanted to do to be able to do the filters and stuff like this yellow sun kind of filter that I have on right now. I wanted to have, just to be able to do different things like that for fun. And that's my whole idea of doing my my little shorts. I've always done that. So I thought, well, if I'm going to transition to YouTube, I want to be able to do the same thing. So I wanted to make sure I had the right equipment to be able to,
Yeah. You've got a good PC. That should last you about 7 or 8 years. The one I've got.
I take care of it and don't fry it because I don't know what the hell I'm doing.
Well, I don't plan on helping you fry it, but I do plan on helping you do some things. I just put the Discord link out there. Low Spec says I can help you with a simple game stream with OBS. And OBS is kind of a bear to get a hold of at first, but once you just start using it, there's only like 5 or 6 things I touch on there, and that's it. OBS is a hell of a program. I use that.
I have that.
Okay, I use that in StreamYard in tandem.
Well, see, I'm using it right now to do the filters and stuff. You know, like when I've been on a couple of the other channels, I've used filters to have the frost, you know, on my screen, the twilighty stuff that I've been using when I read my book. So, you know, I do have that. It's just that I don't understand the intro I made. I don't know if anybody in the chat has seen my little intro I made for when I read my book at the beginning. Yeah. I watched like 30 something videos and I just, nothing clicked in my head on how to make my own intro video. And I even had Lasso of Truth. She was showing me her beautiful swirls to make lasso and stuff. She was telling me how to do it. And I just couldn't figure it out. I just could not do it. So I found this 10-year-old kid on YouTube that made some videos for themselves. And it was talking about how to do it. And I just got my iPad out and I watched that little kid do it. And I just did it step by step. And I was able to make this little simple intro for my story that I'm reading. So that's how bad it is. And I've had a couple people help me, and I know that they just wanted to rip their hair out by the time I was done. But you know, I'm thankful for the people that have helped me, but I can be very irritating because it just doesn't. There's no files in there. You know what I'm saying? It just goes in this here and comes out on the other side. But hey, at least I'm honest about it. I really want to learn, and I have tons of notebooks because I write everything down. At least I try to, and that's the only reason I've been able to do the little bits that I've been doing, because I'm, trying to learn.
Understandable.
But yeah. I'd love to play with them, whoever it was. I can't see the chat or anything.
Looks like Linux laptop will probably get in touch with you on your Discord. If he could just
great.
The link that I put above his statement at 2052, just click that Linux and talk to Janet on her Discord, because she does want the help. Her PC she bought was on special, and I thought that's a pretty good price for that little rocket ship. And every one of my buddies was like, "What the hell? What are you doing?" I'm like, "This is the PC that Janet wants," and I figured might as well help her get one that'll last a while. What do you guys think? And they went through a whole bunch of stuff, and they're like, "No, the one that she's selected there, that's really good."
Okay. Yeah, it's got I've got, because I got the Hero Lab on here now, and I'm trying to learn how to use that. And I've got like this audio. I think it's called Audacity. I put that on here because I've made a couple of audio files, so that because I can do voiceovers and things, and I want to be able to do I want it to be versatile. I want to be able to do a lot of different things, but I have to understand how to use the app, and that's the hard part. Is like, I get so frustrated because I'll go online, I'll download a picture for my story, and I'll be able to go right to my pictures and get the picture that I downloaded. But then other times I download it and I can't find it. And then I found out one time I went to the cloud, and I'm like, why did I go to cloud? I didn't click anything to make it go there. So that's a frustrating part. But by the time, sometimes I get so frustrated, after 2 hours, I'm bawling my eyes out and I just go to bed because I get so upset. So, because I have no one to talk to about how to fix something. So it's just depressing, because you want to do well and you want to be able to understand something, but you don't have anyone around you that knows how to do anything. So I just don't do it. This doesn't get done. But yeah, okay, we'll go back to the movie again.
Yeah. This movie's pretty fun in the first act, I think. The first
act, thought the whole movie was good.
There's some problems that I find problems with the movie.
I told you a couple things that I thought was wrong with it, but it didn't ruin the movie for me.
No, it doesn't really ruin a movie. I just wanted it to be tightened up, and Twohy has not he's not the world's worst director. That goes to Yui Bowl, but we'll talk about him later. And the part about the first act I think is just so good is that Vin Diesel does this amazing set of maneuvers and escapes. And for a while there, the movie, it kind of reminded me, watching it last night. I was watching, there was a Bette Midler and Lily Tomlin film from the 90s where they were together again and they were playing twins. Two were from the city, two were from the country, and they were staying at the same hotel. And there's like 20 minutes where like you see Lily Tomlin and Bette Midler go from this door to that door. And then there's another door that opens, and there's Lily Tomlin and Bette Midler, and they go from that door to this door. And then the 20 minutes of this shit.
I never seen that movie.
There's much better rendition of it in this movie itself, where everybody's looking for Riddick, and Riddick is there in the background in a blurry Sasquatch-like scene where like everybody else is really clear and crisp, and the filters look good. But in the background, you can see a blurry, bald Vin Diesel with his glasses on, with his little shoes on.
See, that's what, like I said, when they were looking off in the distance, if you watch a documentary and they got the Sahara Desert or whatever in the distance, it's got that wavy look like a mirage because it's actual heat coming up.
The director of photography did so well with this part because it's kind of like they're doing a Where's Waldo, Where's Riddick shit, you know? And I was drunk and I was having fun with it. I'm like, oh, they almost got him there. Look,
you were drinking too while you watched it?
What?
You were drinking while you watched it? I drank too while I was watching it.
I love this movie. So I'm watching it and I'm enjoying it, but then like I'm wondering, where the fuck does Johns die? And then the second act starts whenever they find they found the geologist station, but then whenever Radha Mitchell takes them back and she shows them the model that has all three suns and it goes to 22.
Yeah, the mobile. Yeah, that was cool.
That I want that model. I know that sounds stupid, but
no, I thought the same thing. I was like, I would love that. That would be so cool to have that model in my house. From a prop from a movie. That would be cool. That would be something I would want.
That would be a fun prop to have. So I'm watching this movie and I really had fun with that. And then Riddick, the whole time, he's telling him, like, you guys are always really worried about me, but, I'm not the one that's a big murderer on this planet. And that's said like 4 different times in 4 different ways. He does a really good job. I enjoyed it. And the second act starts and they start figuring out what's going on. Radha discovers her ship, the little skiff we're going to fly to safety.
Mm-hmm.
And then we discover that John's is a fucking addict. He's not even really a cop. He's just a hired gun, some slag that just is going from planet to planet doing menial, what do you call that? Post servers. He's a server. That's all he is. He's like one of these guys that comes to your house.
And if you didn't notice, he was a redhead. He was a ginger. So I didn't know he was a ginger because when I saw him on Yellowstone, they dye his hair black or whatever. But I didn't even realize it was the same person until someone said something about the actor that's in Yellowstone. He's the same actor that was in the Riddick movie that you liked. And I was like, what? It took me a few minutes to think about it. And then when I went back and watched this, I was like, I can't believe it's the same person. Because to me, in the movie Riddick, he's okay looking, he's really good looking. So I don't know why. Maybe it's his hair color or something, or that he's got some meat on him, or I don't know what it is. But I think he's not bad looking in Yellowstone, and he's a better actor.
Sorry about that.
Gotten better at acting. Do what?
Something happened with my interwebs. I'm sorry about that.
Oh, that's all right. I was like, you giving me a close up. Oh well, it's okay. But I think he's definitely improved in acting for sure. And this role for him was a good role. I mean, how many movies has he been in? I wonder.
Who?
Besides The
Cole
actor
Hauser or Vin
Yeah.
Diesel?
Hauser.
Not many.
I wonder.
Really not
Because
many.
when he was in Yellowstone, and I was like, his face looked familiar, but I couldn't place him. I couldn't, I didn't know. I was trying to fit him in something, but I couldn't think of anything to put him in because I couldn't place him in any of the other movies or anything. And then that's when someone told me that he was in this movie, and I was like, that's the same guy, because I didn't think it was.
Well,
He buffed up. I mean, he's bulked up and everything. He's very small and young, I guess, really young and stuff in this movie.
When he did this movie, he was like 24, and it got released the next year when he was 25. His first film was in '92 called Frame Up 2: The Cover Up. He played Dr. Gilden.
I never
Up
heard of
until Pitch Black, he was in 9 movies, and since Pitch Black, it looks like he's been in. He was in Jarhead 2, Field of Fire.
I haven't
Okay.
seen that one.
I haven't either. I'm not going
That's
to see
probably
it.
why this is the only movie I think I've seen him in. So him getting this part in Yellowstone is just kind of weird because from what you just said, the list he's had, this is a totally different kind of acting for him.
He was mostly, it looks like, a television actor. He's done a lot of movies, about 30 films, and he's got a couple awards for Tigerland, and in 2003 he did the breakthrough performance for himself, which he won. He was in the movie Tears of the Sun, which is the start of Bruce Willis's direct to DVD career, which I hate to say that because I love Bruce Willis, but that is not a great movie. It's a good movie. It's not a great movie, but I really enjoyed him in this. But in 2004, they released a Escape from Butcher Bay video game based as a kind of like a prequel to Pitch Black, and it was really good. In fact, that was worth keeping an Xbox hooked up to the TV for 5 years, because occasionally I'd go back to it. And then I one day I just decided I'm going to go through it after I've had it for 5 years, and I got stuck. I went to the video rental store, Family Video, found their copy, swapped their copy with my copy, returned it, didn't get found out, and I played through the rest of the game within a week, and I beat it. And I love that game.
I can't believe he did that with the coffee.
I'm not sorry.
Yeah, because you won the game, but they swapped.
I'm not sorry about it. That was where I bought my version from, and they had another copy on the shelf, and then I swapped it. So, I mean, they still got my money. So
yeah, I had a friend that the only coffee they drank was the coffee they ground themselves.
No, the copy of the video game. I swapped their copy.
Sorry, my wig is like keeps trying to like it's trying to come off.
Have you tried this stuff yet?
Remember I told you, I said if you sent me some coffee, I'd make you some commercials.
Huh, okay.
Some little shorts.
I'm going to go
drinking your coffee or whatever, because I have a couple of them, a couple of my little shorts, and I've got a cup of coffee or whatever.
Fair enough. The second act of this movie kind of wabbles a little bit, because it's when we start discovering the little creatures, and the creatures are better far away. I don't like it when they get big camera in the middle of the screen.
So you didn't like the scene? You didn't like the scene when they were inside the one building, and it was up on top, and it had that tail, and it was like looking around? You didn't think that was
I didn't like that. They spent too much time on it. I thought that the movie Aliens did a better job with the monster. This movie failed on the monsters for me, but that's just me. I'm very picky. being a
So
disciple.
did this movie come out before or after Alien? The original.
The original Alien was 1979.
Oh, okay. Because there was a couple things that these creatures did that reminded me of Alien. Because like when she gets stabbed in the back
Mm-hmm.
or whatever by this creature and it flies off with her, that reminded me of a scene or something I remember seeing in Alien because that creature used its tail, remember?
Yes.
As a spear or whatever to
Whenever
catch
he gets
things.
a hold of the one female crew member, that was kind of creepy in the way his entire body. We'll go into that whenever we review Aliens here very shortly.
Yeah.
But I really like the idea for these creatures, but I hate the way that they zoomed in on them too much. When they did that, I saw they didn't have the budget needed for enough practical effects. And there's a scene where, like the part where Zeke dies, I didn't mind that. But when Shazza got ripped in half, I hated that. I didn't hate it because she died. I wanted her to die because it would advance the plot. But the way they ripped her in half just looks like crap. I'm sorry if I'm beating on somebody's favorite film here, but there are some parts of this movie that don't stand up well to an eye for detail and somebody who has watched way too many Rob Bottin movies, which this is not a Rob Bottin film. If it was a Rob Bottin movie, probably more people would have been like, oh my God, I love Pitch Black. Did you see the way it ripped that one chick in half? And it would have been great, glorious. It would have been like a more sci-fi version of The Hitcher, which is one of my favorite kills of all time.
Yeah, I have their autograph.
Whose
on that
autograph?
movie. The main actor. What's his name? Thomas C. Howell.
Thomas C. Howell? Oh,
Mm-hmm.
he seems like a good guy.
He is. He was really nice. He's a very nice person, very personable, and he will, sit and talk to you or whatever about things that he thinks is important. So, if similar interest or whatever type of thing. But yeah, he's nice. But that was a really good movie. That was a very well made movie, and anyone that would see that and still go hitchhiking is an idiot.
Yeah, that movie stopped a lot of my friends from hitchhiking after they watched
The
it.
creepiest part of the Hitchhiker movie was when that car passes his car and he's in the back with those kids and looks back at him, and I'm like, oh my God, my stomach just dropped. It was so scary. Very scary.
So I really didn't like the way they got rid of Shazza. They could have done better by having her die off screen than showing it. And David
Yeah.
Twohy, there is a part of this movie in the first act I do want to talk about. In the director's cut, if you watch it with the commentary on, when Carolyn is sticking her head down very stupidly in the hole where Zeke disappeared in, they've got alternating shots showing Carolyn and her boobs are about ready to fall out of her shirt.
Yeah.
And then it shows her butt, and she's scrambling down. And the camera work, if you're a pervert, this movie has got like 2.5 minutes of joy for you. For you 12-year-old boys out there, go ahead. Nobody's going to mind if you watch those 2.5 minutes on repeat.
I think everyone is a perv to a degree. I mean, honestly, I don't know anyone that hasn't gone through their perv moments. So, depending on the point of view of the camera, someone's going to see something they like.
And Radha Mitchell, even to this day in 2023, she is a very fine actress to watch. She's been one of my favorites. I do want to see the sex scene from Man on Fire where she has sex with Creasy, but that's not been released to my knowledge. One of you has the video. Come on it.
That movie already been out?
The Man on Fire? The one from 2004. Yeah. There's two scenes that they filmed but they didn't put it in the film. And one scene is her character having sex with Creasy because she's just turned on by him, and he's a very upfront alcoholic, and she likes that. Whereas her husband, she goes back to him, and not long afterwards, she's like, I better put out for him too. And she has sex with him. And the way was reading on the Wikipedias and the various other pages I was reading about, she was much more excited. Her character was much more excited to be having sex with Creasy because he was a better lay for her. She did not like having sex with her husband, portrayed by Mark Anthony. And I just am a pervert, and I'm like, Radha Mitchell did a sex scene, 2 sex scenes. I'm a connoisseur, yes.
Yes.
And I like Radha Mitchell. I've always thought she's just a very pretty, and she's a very capable actress. And in this movie, she does some stuff that her character does some stuff that's very stupid, where she's like, she went down the hole where the guy got ripped apart in.
Yeah, see that whole scene to me was really hard to absorb, because when you just walk after you see the guy go in it and there's blood everywhere, all around the outside of the hole, why would anyone, knowing that someone's dead in there, you can't find their body, so they have to be in there, why would you want to crawl in this little hole that barely fits your body and be face to face with your dead friend? Just
doesn't sound like there's a lot
it was just
going on there.
stupid. I mean, it's just a dumb reason to go down in that hole. You know, you'd think that with the advanced technology, being able to fly to another planet, they would have like a camera on a rope, you know, or something.
A drone, maybe?
I don't know. You know what I mean? I just thought
a drone.
that.
They didn't have a drone. Like
something different than what they did.
They have drones.
So I don't know. I just thought that was kind of just like I said earlier. I said the fact that they let their only person that can fly their ship crawl down a hole when they don't have a clue what's down in there on a planet they've never been on, you know, and all the people are gone. Yeah. I don't know. To me, it lacked a lot of common sense issues. It had a lot of common sense issues to me. But besides that, I thought it was an excellent movie. I mean, for action, for the sci-fi point of view, the idea of a planet that was scorching hot, but then it was solid blackness, you know?
Yeah.
I just thought that was really cool.
The movie was filmed in the daylight. They had about 50-degree temperatures, they said. And they had to work pretty hard.
Where did they film it?
Let me find a location.
Sorry, I was wondering if it was in Africa or...
I want to say Arizona. I might be wrong. Pitch black. I'm sorry. Give me a moment.
It's all right. Was just getting me another drink of my alcoholic beverage, adult drink, and I don't want to drink it on camera because that's like advertising, isn't it? And you're not getting paid for it.
Not really. Let me. Where's mine? I'll advertise mine. 6% alcohol.
What's it called? Trail ale.
Trail ale.
Is it good? It's like beer.
This is a beer.
Oh, okay.
It's a trail mix inspired ale with chocolate, nuts, dried fruit, and natural flavors at 6% ABV. They filmed this. My bad. It was not Australia. It was not Arizona. It was Australia in the southern outback.
Oh yeah, definitely looked like it.
Yeah,
I thought it was beautiful.
Completely looks like it.
I mean, the concept that, however they did the sky when the planets were aligning and they had that beautiful belt around them. Oh, I just thought it was so pretty. I just thought it was beautiful. I love watching documentaries about the cosmos, and I don't know, a lot of the pictures are just fake. You know, they're not real. And the satellite imagery is, blurry and all that stuff. But I still think it's just, gosh, it would be just something phenomenal to see. Something like that.
I really,
like the CGI in this movie just for me just doesn't hold up at all. And so
Well,
like, they're
it was
doing
a
the
very
other-
low budget movie, so I didn't expect the CGI to be perfect or anything. Just like in The Thing, there was a lot of little things here and there, but for what they had and the actors they put into it and everything, it was phenomenal. I mean, I think this movie wasn't, a 4 stars, the top of the top, but I thought it did a very good job at filling all the holes to answer the questions to people that were interested in trying to find out what's going on, why there's creatures there, why is it getting dark, why, all those things. It answered all those questions, and it had a happy ending because people actually survived and they were
that
able to
was
get off
what
the planet.
surprised me about this
So,
movie. They actually let Riddick do what Riddick does well, and he's he's able to haul the items necessary so the ship can be powered.
mhm.
And yeah, let's face it, predators like the ones in Pitch Black fit perfectly for Australia. Yeah, I agree with that. That's what Bowsette says.
Yeah. Well, I thought the creatures were really cool. I mean, the fact that they use sonar,
I just didn't
that
like
their
the
eyesight wasn't as good, and because of if you were to survive on the planet, knowing that they use sonar, you would have to just not move. You just have to be very, at night or whatever, just try not to move to bring attention to yourself or make any noise, because that way it'd be harder for them to prey on you.
Mhm.
Unless you had a cut, just like Vin Diesel said something about, blood. They're attracted to this smell of blood. So, can't have anybody that's got cuts and boo-boos on them, or it's going to be a smorgasbord of delight for all the creatures to come and everyone around you, because you got a couple cuts when you were shaving. Now everyone else is going to be up for dinner too, because you're in the room with them. See, so
This movie, this area, Cooper Pedy or whatever it's called, Cooper Petty, this town, it's really photogenic, and it was also the place where they filmed the following movies: Fire and Stone, 1984, Until the End of the World, 1991, Opal Dream, Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome,
oh yeah, that was good. That was a good movie
Ground
too. That's a
Zero.
movie we could do.
Yes, the entire series. Uh, The Blood of Heroes, one of my favorite movies with Rutger Hauer in it. The Adventures of Priscilla, Queen of the Desert. The first time I ever saw
I saw that movie. I thought it was good. I mean, it was a pretty good movie. I thought the acting was really good. I thought John Leguizamo, right?
Yes.
I thought he was excellent in that movie.
It's Hugo
I
Weaving.
even liked him in what was the name of that comic book movie he was in, and he played darn it, trying to remember.
The clown for
No.
Spawn?
Yeah, Spawn. I thought Spawn was really good, and a lot of people said they hated it, but I thought they did a good job. I mean, it could have been worse.
I like the clown in that movie quite a
Yeah,
bit.
it could have been worse, but it could have been better too. But the fact that I got a Spawn movie, it was worth seeing it.
Yeah, that was actually a decent Spawn film. It wasn't great. It
It wasn't the best, but I mean, heck, right now I'd be happy to get one movie like that from Disney. Half that good. So, you know what I'm saying?
Too busy. They're going to monetize and put together all the favorite franchises you grew up with, and they're going to charge you for them, and they're going to be crap. They're going to be crap. Just
Well, you don't have to have quality when you know people are going to pay you for crap. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Why spend a few million more dollars to make it a little better when you know the people are going to shell out their dough for the shit they've already got? You know what I mean?
I really liked the version of Spawn from '97, but I'm a big fan of the John Leguizamo clown. I thought he did.
Yeah,
he did.
Yeah,
that
he
movie
was
justice.
excellent. I loved his. He did. To me, he was the outstanding character from the whole movie. He's the one that
There's
stood
one
out
other
the most to me.
Whoever the mentor was in Spawn,
Same guy that played Merlin in Excalibur.
Yeah. Yeah, and they were all good, but I'm just saying, I was really surprised at what a great job John Leguizamo did in the movie.
Yes.
So to me, just like I said, a person that does a phenomenal job in a movie, even though the movie may not be that good, it's going to make the movie worth watching because this person was worth the few dollars that she had to pay to get to see it. So, and every so often I'll see a movie. That's why movies like Tombstone are so successful and so good, is because and you got the new one, Top Gun Maverick, okay, because you got so many good characters in it and they all worked so well together and the story was good, so it had so many good, slash all these check marks going off, so it made it a blockbuster simply for the fact that it had all the the little boxes checked off. Now, this movie had almost all the boxes checked off for me, except for the few common sense choices that seemed like there wasn't in there, And to me, it wasn't editing either. It wasn't edited into the movie that way. It was directed that way. See?
I'll be right back.
That's the difference.
Give me about 2 to 3 minutes. I'll be right back.
Okay. Well, I recommend you guys see this movie if you haven't seen it before, but don't have small kids watch it with you because I do not think it's appropriate. I think there's not the fact that there's, there is a lot of dirty words in it, though. That was one thing I did recognize compared to the second one. I didn't think there was half as many dirty words in the second movie. The Pitch Black, the second movie, I can't remember what it was called for sure right this second, but it didn't have near as many cuss words in it. But I definitely recommend that you watch it if you like this type of genre and get to watch it with someone else, but not really young kids. Definitely not. Too much violence for it, and I don't want them to have nightmares. But overall, I really thought this was really good. A very good movie for Vin Diesel. I'm shocked that it didn't do way better than it did, but I'm glad it did do as well as it did because I think now it's like a cult classic. I mean, I'm not 100% because I'm just me. I don't know a lot of people that are really famous with lots of, movies that are hits or whatever. But I think a lot of people like this and that he's got a big following simply because this movie was made. You don't see that a lot anymore. I mean, you know what I mean? Especially since the genre is totally different than where he is now with his XXX movies because is totally different type of movie, but still action, which I think he's really good at. And as long as he keeps doing those types of movies, I think he'll be very successful, even when he's, like Sean Connery's age and he's going to be able to still make movies. Now, he won't be doing the as much of the action as he did in this movie or in some of the other movies he's in. He'll be more of the mastermind. If he does do that, I think it'd be better because I saw a little bit of the trailer for the new movie with Harrison Ford. I can't remember if I think it's an indie movie, and it made me feel really sad for him because I really do think that the people that really cared about him should have told him, you really, need to step back from this type of movie because it's just not something you should be in. But there is a TV series, I think, with Harrison Ford in it. And it's 1920 or something like that. I can't remember the exact name. And I think it's like a kickoff of the Yellowstone series, like before they got the ranch started or whatever, them surviving, in the wild, wild west type thing. But I think he's in that with Helen Mirren. But I'm not 100% if it's a Yellowstone spinoff or not. But it looks like it. I mean, it just seems like that's what it's going to end up being. And the fact that he's old doesn't really matter in that character type, but him trying to play a superhero again, it's just not believable for me. So I don't know whether this new movie's going to do very good or not with Harrison Ford. But what do you think, Bruce? You think this new Harrison Ford movie's going to do very well?
Indiana Jones and a Quest for a Pillow.
Do you think it's going to do well? I saw
Yeah.
part of the trailer and I just made me feel really sad for him. That's what I was talking about.
I watched a reaction to it, and I immediately went on the high seas and found a link for the Raiders of the Lost Ark, and I watched that instead.
Yeah.
To me, Indiana Jones ends with him and his daddy riding off into the sunset on a horseback
Hmm.
after they've had a sip of the Holy Grail, and they're still alive, they're still young. It's just like Star Wars. It ended at Return of the Jedi for me in movie form, and it resumed on Timothy Zahn's book series, which was fucking amazing. And I can't stand the franchises that we've got, even the prequels from 1999 and 2001 and 2003. I hate the Star Wars prequels. I think they're garbage. They look like Shakespeare compared to the new Star Wars, compared to
Yeah.
Disney World
Hmm.
crap. But that doesn't mean they're good. It just means that you can have a pile of shit, and for once, this pile of shit looks appeasing when you
Yeah.
compare it to something that Disney has defecated on, and they've defecated on our stuff. They've done that over and over and over again. And anytime Disney buys stuff, now I'm like, I don't care. Go ahead.
Mhm.
It's just like when Hasbro buys something. I'm done with you. Get the fuck out. Get off my
Yeah,
stuff.
that's one thing I was gonna say something about. I wish I took a picture of it, but I don't know why I didn't. I went to Dollar General today because I needed a gallon of milk on my way home, and I was driving through town, so I pulled in, and they had a sign at the end of one of the aisles, and it said clearance stuff. So I just walked down the aisle and was looking. It had a lot of like figurines and little toys and things like that, and I was looking at them, and I couldn't believe it. They had these little tiny cheapy characters that looked like they weren't even as good as a Happy Meal toy. That's what they look like, okay? And they were like $13. And this was on the clearance rack. I was like, they
Where?
are dying for people to buy their crap. That's all I could think of. And I mean, I wouldn't even have bought it if it was like $2. I mean, that's how cheap they were. But it just shocks me. Lego toys and stuff like that. Everything is so expensive. I don't see how they're making their money back by marking these things down more and more and more. Because I used to work in retail years and years ago. I was the florist, but the girl that I worked with every day was a general merchandise manager. And so I'd help her every so often, sort through baskets of stuff that people didn't want that was stuck here and there all through the store and help her put them back. We called them shop backs, where we'd go through and take the stuff and put it back where it belonged in the store. And we just gab, blah, 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 I like to talk. So we'd talk about all kinds of crap and put the stuff away. And it's just shocking to me, the desperation that I'm seeing in these Marvel and Disney toys. I mean, I just don't see people spending the money they used to spend on these things because they've gotten so. I think that's one reason why all these people seem to love China so much, because they can get all this stuff made so cheaply, but it's starting to look cheap. You know what I mean? I used to buy a few things years ago, and I didn't realize it was China until I started looking, or Taiwan or whatever it would say it on the, the little foot stamp or whatever. And you can look at the quality of the stuff from when I was young, as a little kid, that my dad would buy, or even stuff that my dad had that he gave me that he had. I don't know how long he had, but the quality of it, even though it was made in China or Taiwan or one of those other places, it's so different compared to the cheap terrible quality you get today. And people that are now making their own things using these 3D printers and stuff, you're getting a way better quality doing it yourself. You know what I mean? Like your things that you're painting right now, I guarantee that any of those things that you're doing in your own personal home and the details and stuff that you're putting on it is making that worth 5-10 times what any of these little things are worth. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because the detail and the care that goes into it, simply that part of it, printing it out on a machine and just putting it in a package is not even, it's just not worth it anymore. I mean, I'm so thankful that I was able to collect some of the great stuff that I've got as I grew up, because it actually had a meaning behind it. I mean, but the quality of it was so much better compared to what we have today. Unless you want to pay really a ton of money for it. You know, these handmade items that people make now. What is it you're showing?
In 2000, in the big cities in the U.S., New York, Los Angeles, Chicago, I think London had one too. They had a pitch black rave event. Now these kids are dancing, and they've got like bits of the movie shown off here, but they've got some remixes of the sounds from the movie, and they had about 6 or 7 DJs go on a tour doing this. I don't want to show too much of this because it looks like some of the DJs are a little strung out or on something, and I'm pretty certain that none of these guys could pass a piss test at the moment in the video.
Probably not.
I'm certain that none of these guys could pass a piss test.
I've never been to a rave before. That would be fun, especially something like that. I guess going on Fremont Street in Las Vegas is almost like being in a rave, huh?
Just about.
Yeah, I love Fremont Street. Gosh, that's the most fun place I've ever been. It's like an adult toy land.
My most favorite place I've ever been would probably be Chattanooga, Tennessee. But I'm just a sucker for Chattanooga. I don't know why. I grew up there. Not even grew up there. I was a young toddler.
I've never been to Chattanooga. I've been to Tennessee, lots of different places, but not there.
Chattanooga is like Atlanta light, but there's a better tax code. Yeah, that girl there, I don't want to watch her too much because I'm pretty certain, like, she does some habitual things and is playing with her hair a lot, and she starts just acting really weird. But this is an event that they did off of raveworld.net way back in 2000, and I thought, I could show you guys something I found, and that you can pull it up. You'll be able to find it. But it is
I didn't know that people did stuff like that.
Yeah, they get high on shrooms or ecstasy and go.
No, I mean, to get that many people together to have a party because you like the movie. You know what I mean?
They had no idea about the movie. This was a pre-up. That was the what do you call that? That was a build-up to the Pitch Black movie.
Oh, before it came out on the theaters. But see, that's why I'm a huge fan of Comic-Con and Wizard Con and stuff, because to me, getting to go to one, not just getting to get your autographs of your comic books autographed or get your picture taken with people in costumes, stuff like that. It was the fact that I was in a whole giant stadium filled with people just like me, you know what I mean? And I don't see that, on a daily basis. I hardly ever in months, can go months in real life. And I'm not talking about being on, an app, get to talk to people. I'm talking about in real life, walking down the street, going to the store or whatever, getting to actually talk to another person who likes comic books or likes a Comic-Con or likes figurines or any of this stuff. I don't have anybody, there's just nobody interested in what I like. And that's makes it rare. It's getting to be more and more rare. I loved it. I got to go to Vegas and I was with a group of people and I'm like, I want to go to the Star Trek adventure, experience. And they're like, just looked at me like, you're what a dumbass or whatever. But I went. I spent 8 hours. I took the tram and went down there all by myself and spent the whole day, and I ate in Quirk's bar and drank ramen ale, and I loved it. But if I'd had another person to go with me to dress up and run around and put the headphones on and do the VIP tour, it would have been heaven. I mean, it was just, I had a lot of fun. I got kidnapped by the Borg. I mean, it was great. It was awesome. It was worth every penny. And I wish I'd known about it sooner, because I would have done it every time I went to Vegas. I mean, because it's fun. But just don't know people. I don't know real life people that I meet and talk to that would want to do stuff like that. And it's sad, because us nerds are missing out. Because we could have big raves like that. I mean, heck, if I had a lot of money, I'd have a big rave and say, hey, it's called the Nerd Rave. Let's go. Everybody come on, bring your great shit and share it to everybody. Share your stuff. Let everybody see your scrapbook full of your goodies that you have. But
That'd be a lot of fun.
It'd be boring, because most people wouldn't want to go. And that's why I wanted to go to these meetups so bad, the few meetups that I've heard about, because it would just be so cool to be in a room full of people and all have like-minded points of view when it comes to nerd stuff. It sounds really stupid, I know, but that's just the way I am, though. That would be that kind of stuff to me is just excitement. That's excitement to me. Thrilling. I mean, when I thought I was going to get to go to Orlando and go to, the one thing that I think it was Geeks and Gamers and Drunk 3PO was going to do at Universal Studio.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to go so bad. I just wanted to go. And then this whole COVID stuff happened, and it was just a bunch of stuff. Then the Vegas meetup, and I didn't get to go to that.
Telling you, you need to just hook up with Geeks and Gamers. Get in good with Ryan Cannell. You already have an in with him, because he's got your art on his wall, and you get in with him, and you connect on his Discord with some people, and you guys get your arrangement set up, and you be careful there. And
well, if I can grow a little bit to where I feel like I have a little bit of clout of my own, I might do something like that. But I don't want to use anyone to get anywhere, because I don't want everybody saying later on, oh, look, yeah, she did this or he did that just to get to go do this. It's not worth it to me. I'd rather just do it my own way.
The reason why I said that is because you already are exposed to his crew, like Eric K and all the mods around Cannell.
Mm-hmm.
They love the shit out of you.
I know. I've been friends with Eric for a long time, because we used to talk in the chat rooms. I used to talk with a lot of people in the chat before I ever thought about doing it. Eric's one of the people that said, you need to, when he saw some of my videos, he goes, you need to go ahead and put them on YouTube. And I was like, oh, I'll think about it. But, it's totally different than what everybody else does. And I don't want to be like everyone else. I just want to be me. I want to be able to do what I think is fun. And I like channels, and I stop in because I enjoy the chat, and I like the personal touch people have on their show, in their different realms that they're in. Even Fat Steven Seagal, many a times I've just gone and watched them play, their live stream playing games. Not because I'm watching every detail, but just listening to what they're saying and how they talk to each other, and then reading the chat while I'm working on my whatever I'm doing, and it's entertainment to me. It makes me feel like I'm there, even though I'm not there. I don't know if that makes any sense to other people, how they do it, but I love it. I feel like it's home almost. I mean, if that makes any sense, it's like you're in a room full of people you've never met. Just like a lot of people that came back from some of the meet and greets, and they said that it was like they'd known all these people,
Well, yeah, we've been listening to each other daily for the past 2 years. I mean, God, I hope you guys have paid attention to each other, and not just click like and subscribe and next video.
But that's what would be so cool, because you don't know what they look like, but getting to hear a lot of their voices. If you were to be able to bump into them and you hear them talking behind you, you'd go, I know that voice, So I don't know. I just think it'd be really fun. I've got some ideas that I've come up with that I've talked to my daughter about. I said, yeah, this is what I would do if I ever got to do my own Comic-Con and have a booth or whatever. This is the stuff that I would like to try to do and stuff. And, maybe one day I'll get to do something like that. It'd be
I
fun.
really agree with what Bowsette says there. You just need to go to Orlando and hang out. You're going to bump into Big J from Drunk 3PO, and then you're going to get like captivated and like, oh my God, that man is so tall. And then you're going to be like poor Gina Carano, and she's like, oh my God, I love a Canadian bear. And, Janet we know will change, and she'll metamorphosize into something else, something beautiful.
No, I'm just going to be me.
So,
I know
yeah.
I am. I just know me. I've been around a lot of different people, famous people, and the newbies that come around, that are just joining into the certain business, and they just get starstruck really bad, and they just kind of like stand there and go, they don't know they don't react, or do their job because they're too busy being starstruck, and you'll get fired really quickly by doing that. So over time, you start to realize, yeah, they go in the bathroom just like you do, So it is fun, though. It is fun, especially when you get to see the personal side of some of these people with their wife or their husbands or their kids, and get to see that part of it. So when you do go see them, you're not seeing them the same way. They're not iconic anymore. They're more like just a normal person that they just are in movies for their job. It's weird. But it does take a lot of that excitement of movies and stuff away. And but I don't feel like that when I'm watching something. Like I saw the preview for the new Shazam, I guess, movies, what you could call it. And I think it looks pretty fun. I like the guy they picked to play Shazam. And I'm not as I don't know. I'm not as mean about every detail being perfect or whatever. To get to see something that I love come to life and be able to see it moving and talking, I give it a little more leeway. Now, it does hurt my feelings when they just tear it to shreds. Like I said, I've said it many times about when I found out that Hugh Jackman was going to be Wolverine. I was like, what? He's not short and stocky. He's a tall, good-looking, handsome guy. He can't be Wolverine. But when he said bub and some of the things that I could tell he wanted to portray this character, and then he put so much effort into it, it was easier for me to accept him as Wolverine. Now, I still would like to see a Wolverine movie with a short, stocky guy in it. A real Wolverine.
Yeah.
That would be really good. But until that day comes, I'm just going to have to accept that Wolverine is Hugh Jackman right now to me, outside of the comic books. You know what I mean? But I don't know. It's just like anything you portray. Just like I said, any book you read, your imagination puts something together for you. And it's hard to break that. And we're worse at it than anyone. I don't know anyone else. That's why I thought Galaxy Quest was so good, because the young kids that they got to help him with the ship and stuff like that, that's reality for a lot of people. A person a grown person standing in line, and we're in line to go to be, kidnapped by the Borg and all this different stuff. And one of them's dressed like a Klingon, and he's just speaking Klingon, He's talking to another person and they're speaking in Klingon to each other, and just different things like that. To see grown people that knowledgeable about a certain aspect of something they love is, I think it's adorable. I mean, I really do. But I'm not that far into it. I love Star Trek. I watch every single episode at least 4 times. And some of them even more than that, depending on which one they were. But I couldn't tell you the name of every one of them. I can't tell you every actor that was in every one of them. I'm not that deep into it, but I love it. I mean, I dress up and go watch it just like I did Rocky Horror Picture Show. But I don't know every single detail of every line, and that stuff. Like these people that know that how many dilithium crystals are used in this engine and what kind of this, that, they know all this stuff. And I'm never going to be that person, but I still love it. I just love it different,
Hey,
just like
Travis.
I love what I'm doing right now. I absolutely love doing this. It's fun. I enjoy it. And I enjoy getting to, talk to you about movies and talk to the people in the chat and discuss stuff. And it's not just on this. I do it in Discord, and I try to answer every message I get on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, everything. I try to answer everyone, and I try to be interactive. And that's a lot of work. I mean, my sisters think I'm crazy, but I love it. I just absolutely love it because I'm a talker. I am a very social person. I need social interaction to feel like I have a life, I guess. So getting
They
to
took
do
our
it.
life from us.
Huh?
We've
What?
we've had our livelihood impacted by a group of authoritarians that are right now they're in session in Davos.
Mm-hmm.
And if you guys are hopefully nobody in my chat, none of my chatters are under the impression that they're trying to solve our problems. No, they're causing more, planning for more problems right now.
Yeah.
This is the same time, this is the same meeting that last year was getting too much attention. So something was mentioned, and somebody over in Uvalde got some firearms and shot up a school. I'm still pissed about that. But I'm just going to say that we've had our livelihoods and our fun times have largely been negatively impacted by a group of people that we thought really didn't mind us, but they absolutely hate us.
Yeah.
And
I'm seeing that more and more.
and the
I'm
more
feeling like they absolutely do hate us, that they wish we were all dead. If they could gas all of us, I think they would have already done it.
they would have done that already. That would have
Yeah.
already happened. And these a lot of people are just they're walking through life with the blinders on. That's why they call them sheep. And that's
Sheeple.
okay.
Yep.
Sheeple.
Yeah. That's
But-
what Andrew Wilkow calls them, sheeple. I love him. Have you ever listened to Andrew Wilkow?
No.
He's awesome. He's on Sirius XM Patriot channel. He has a 3-hour show, and it's really good. I really like listening to him when I can.
We got a guy here in town that's syndicated across the nation named Joey Pagliano, known as Joe Pags. And I listen to him quite a bit because he comes on at 5 after Hannity, which I cannot stand Sean Hannity. But
I don't like him either.
He's popular and he's got a lot of people bamboozled. And he's just to me a mouthpiece. That's all he is. And a lot of these people are, but Hannity's the loudest mouthpiece. You got Clay and Buck. They're kind of on the right track, but they're still really new, and they're getting their feet underneath them. I don't know if they're going to make it or not. They congrats to them for getting the world's largest platform as the Rush Limbaugh show, getting that gifted to them. But I don't know if they're going to really do well with it. I really don't. And the more that I listen to them, the more I think, okay, this is turning out the way that I was hoping. This is, this would make Rush very happy. But our livelihoods really negatively impacted over 2 years ago and almost 3 years ago. And now, we've got a group of people that absolutely cannot stand the way we live. And they want us to be in the pods. They want us to be living on bugs, and they want you to be miserable. And all I hear from you, Janet, like you're talking about wanting to be social, wanting to get our life back.
Yep.
It's going to require at some point we're going to have to use these. We just can't buy them and have a nice little neat collection of boxes in our ammo room. They are screaming that they are not fully in power yet. And that's what authoritarians do when you reject their ways.
I agree with you 100%. I really do think, I hate to say that, but I really do think that's what's going to end up happening.
Yeah. And
I don't want it to happen because I know so many people, innocent people, are going to suffer because they just can't, their mind just cannot understand what's going on and that it's real, that's reality. Just like I was talking about this morning in a space on Twitter, a Twitter space that we were talking about. They were saying, when are these people going to wake up? And I said, honestly, if a person isn't awoke already about what's going on and what our governments all around the world are doing to us, they're not going to wake up until it happens to them or their loved one. Someone, when you see someone you love with all your heart that you're willing to do anything for, dying or suffering because of something that their government forced them to do, that's when they finally go, wow, I can't believe that they did this to us. Okay. When that reality happens, it's too late, really, but that's when they're going to decide that I ain't doing this anymore. And honestly, that's why when someone goes, well, I'm on the fence about that, I'm like, how can you still be on the fence? I mean, what has to happen to someone before they decide to step off the ladder or get off the fence post and do something, with themselves? So I don't know. I feel sorry for them because it's just like I said, they don't have common sense. They're going to keep sticking their hand in that flame going, why is it hot? But they're going to keep doing it because they apparently just haven't learned anything. I don't know. I don't know how you get your paycheck and look at it and see how much is taken out of it. You go to the grocery store and they take more out of it, and then you go get gas and they take more, and then they take more off each one of your bills that you're paying. You're paying for the right to be able to use that electricity, but you're also paying the government again and again and again and again and again. I was like, and then you see them take a big old bow and put it on your money that you just sent to them and send it to Ukraine. It's like, what has to happen to a person before they finally realize that they're getting screwed? I don't know. How do you teach these people? How do you help them? I mean, what we're doing right now is basically the only way to help some of these people, because one person might actually not have ever thought of it or, realized it or something. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. I just know that once your eyes are open, you can't close them. And there's a lot of people walking around with their eyes closed, which is shocking to me, but that's reality. I mean, I've been attacked, I don't know how many times, because I've made a comment about, I made a couple comments on the whole Giselle Maxwell thing, with the that whole mess. Okay. She was put in prison, okay, by a jury or by a judge for trafficking girls, right? And not one person has been arrested that trafficked the girls.
no.
So how does she get put in prison for it and had all these witnesses and they put it under seal when the witnesses went up and testified that what the horrible stuff happened to them and how they were forced into prostitution, basically. And all the people that were going back and forth to Epstein Island, nothing. Not one other person's been arrested. Why isn't everyone talking about it? I talk about it a lot, and I'm shocked that I still have a Twitter channel. I'm still on Twitter. I haven't been kicked off. That's the one good thing, I guess. But I don't understand it. I don't understand how anyone looks around and goes, oh, well, if it was you, if your name was on the list, you'd be in prison. Okay. But because these people are there, not here beside us, they're not. See, I don't know why people aren't mad about that. I mean, I don't care if they have an R by their name, an I by their name, or a D by their name. If they did this stuff to these girls and their names came out in court and she's in prison for it, why aren't they? See, I don't know. I'm speechless, which is really hard to do. You know what I mean? But it's sad. I don't understand it. I don't understand why there's not more upset people over it. So I don't know. It's a scary thought.
I want to go back to the 1970s for our next movie because I was damn it. I already talked about The Raid Part 2, Barandal.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with going on that because that's a sequel to the movie that we showed you last year, The Raid Redemption, where the brothers met up after the raid started, and one brother was found out to be working for the mafia. And this movie starts about 2 hours after the ending of the first movie,
Okay.
and it is a fantastic film. We're gonna go into The Raid, Barandal, which means thugs in Indonesia. We'll watch
Mhm.
that, and I'll do some other stuff. I really wanted to get into the French Connection because I love Ray Schneider and Gene Hackman together.
I love Gene Hackman. The Package is that and The Birdcage are my two favorite movies with Gene Hackman.
But I wanted to see this movie, and when it came out, I had brought a friend of mine from Illinois down. I was an idiot because I thought like she'd enjoy me now. She'd like me because I was actually gainfully employed. I was in the oil field, and it would turn into like something romantic and all this. And that was the worst vacation I've ever double paid for. I had the world's worst roommate on the beach at the beach house, and she got down there. She's like, within day one, she kind of got the idea that, hey, Bruce wants to have sexy time with me. I better mention something really nasty. Hey, Bruce, tomorrow we need to go to the clinic so I can get my UTI taken care of. I'm like, ah! So anyway, this movie comes out, and I'm like, let's go see this movie. And she's like, hell no. We're going to go see Transcendence instead with fucking Johnny Depp. And that was like the worst movie I've ever seen. And I've seen some really bad movies, but I hated 90 minutes of this film. And like the day I put her fat ass on that plane to go back to Illinois, get the hell out of here, I've not talked to her since.
Well, I can tell you right now, every guy I went out with, if I would have
Yeah.
said I want to go see the Traveling Pants or whatever that movie was,
Yeah.
whatever that, I can't remember the whole thing. If I would have asked them to take me to see that, they would have said, you better find someone else to go on a date with. That's what they would have said.
Well, this is a Johnny Depp film, and usually Johnny Depp is okay.
I still wouldn't watch it. I don't think, I think it was like on DVD or something when I finally did see it, or it was already on TV or something.
Sisterhood of
yeah.
Traveling Pants.
No, I never saw that one. I just saw parts of it and it was enough. That was more than enough for me. But two of my sisters loved it. Thought it was great. But, just because we were raised in the same house doesn't mean we like the same stuff. So we didn't. But what I'm saying is I would pack up and go to a movie and see something more like, Die Hard or, Maverick, Top Gun. Yeah. I liked Footloose, but I loved Halloween, the one with Kevin Bacon in it, so I don't know.
So how would Kevin Bacon save us now?
I don't know.
Did you see the movie Guardians of the Galaxy?
Yeah.
Okay. There's a scene in that movie where Star-Lord's trying to convince the green chick, and I can't remember her name because I don't care, but
Laura.
He's trying to tell her about like the majesty of Kevin Bacon and how he saves the town. And I love that part of the movie. I really do like that movie. I hate the way that Marvel took their entire fucking cinematic universe, and god damn it, Marvel.
Well, I saw the trailer the other day for the newer Galaxy of the Guardians or whatever of the Galaxy, and it looked really good. So I'm excited about seeing it. It looked like Groot was grown up again. So
nice. Well, he was a little sapling in part 2.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'll have to give it a go because
Because every so often, I don't normally just get on there and watch like one trailer unless somebody sends it to me. I'll get a thing in my notifications or whatever, that the little thing that pops up and shows you different stuff. That just pops up when you log in. And one of this ones popped up and it had like 20 trailers or whatever that were all hooked together. So I sit and I fast forward through the ones I wasn't interested in, but I saw quite a few good trailers on that. I went, I might actually want to go to the movie theater and watch some movies, because they look pretty good. So we'll see.
I'm really excited about the new John Wick. I know that sounds lame.
Yeah, me too. That looked good. I saw the John Wick one was one of the the trailers, and it looked good. I mean, so that's what I'm saying. If Keanu Reeves can keep making movies that fit him, he will be successful. It doesn't matter how old he gets, because Sean Connery did it. I mean, lots of people can do it. It just depends on how much they are willing to step back away from and let someone else do it. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But still be active in it.
Well,
what was the name of that movie? Nobody? Remember that movie, Nobody? Did you like it?
I love that movie.
Okay. The dad in that played the crazy scientist. Yeah. The part they gave him, he's in a nursing home, he's watching it, and he's got that squirming guy on his right down there, and he's got his hand over his mouth. Yes. He's still deadly even though he's old because he used weapons, or he outsmarted them, that type of thing. That's believable. Okay. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter that he's 80. Okay, in a nursing home, the fact that he outsmarted these people because they thought, oh, he's an old fart, just walk in and we'll shoot him in the head to be over with. And he overpowered him because he shot him first, right? So that's believable. Doing an older actor can do stuff like that and be believable. There was another one, I think it was oh God, what's the name of that guy? Helen Mirren was in it. Bruce Willis.
Retired Excessively Dangerous.
Yeah, that movie.
Bruce Willis. There was 2 movies in the Red movies.
Yes, the Red, and all the people in it were older, but it was a believable take on the characters. You know what I mean? They were able to do things. It wasn't them beating the shit out of 30, 20-year-olds. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that.
But they were
it was
really
mind
good
over matter type stuff. So it was good. I really liked it. I like those if it's got a good story and you get good actors, just like the same stuff, I guess you get tired of hearing from me. But that's exactly how I feel about it, because it can be good even if you're older. You can still be a good actor and fulfill the needs you need to do to make it a believable part.
I'm digging it. Totally digging it. I'm looking forward to seeing John Wick this year because I think it's going to be the Top Gun for 2023.
See, can't we do that once in a while? Well, we'll like you'll say, okay, we're gonna go see John Wick at the theater, and we got 2 weeks or whatever, because it depends on, now that I live in Hillbillyville, it's hard to get to go to the good movie theater anymore. I can't just go down and have a mimosa while I'm watching a movie at the, IMAX. I don't have that anymore. That's just non-existent. I had to drive a long way.
I'm really surprised you live that close to Fort Smith. And
no, but that's still over 45 miles away to buy booze.
Oh shit! I thought you were like 20 minutes down the
Rock Road. 45 miles. I live 45 miles from Conway, and that's the closest place to buy alcohol. That's a long drive.
Yeah.
And then you can get, if you have more than a certain amount, you know what I mean? You can get caught, you can get arrested for bootlegging when you're driving in a dry county. So you got to buy 1 bottle of wine and maybe 1 bottle of something else and maybe a 6-pack of beer or something. You know what I mean? It's pathetic. So, especially when you go from a place where you can go down a block away from your house through a drive-through and buy daiquiri, a whole gallon of daiquiri to take home to pour into your cup and drink it. And it's just weird. It's like culture shock, basically. It's going to take me a while to get.
I have discovered hell, and it's where you live.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I'm really scared right now. I'm really in that realm. We got 2 more years of what we have, and they're about to kick this old guy to the curb and bring their first black female president in, and it'll be them. See, so think about it. It's a scary. All this is scary. I mean, I want a woman president, but I want a woman that can actually be president.
Give me Sarah Huckabee Sanders every day. You know, I'd be happy with that.
Yeah, that was one good thing about moving here is I did get to vote for her, and I got to be in one of her commercials. So that was fun.
She's a sweetheart. She really is.
Yeah, she is. She's a doll. Her mom is a doll too, and she's got the same name as I do, or I had the same name as her. Her mother. His name's Janet.
For those of you guys that have not seen The Raid Redemption, contact me through other means. We could watch it together.
Yeah. Yeah, that's another thing I was thinking we should start trying to do is try to do some stuff in Discord and where we can all, pick a movie and go in there and watch it together. The only bad thing is I talk a lot during movies, especially if it's one I've seen before and it's a rewrite, and I'm looking at it. So that piss off a lot of people. So you'll have to make sure you mute me.
Okay. There's a Janet from Another Planet for President from Fat Gamer.
Oh, that's sweet. But you don't want me as president.
Actually, I'm pretty certain we do.
Oh, I'm terrible.
Yeah. 438 in Discord.
And someone would say that when I'm wearing this hat. That's great. I mean, I could stand next to our president right now in this outfit, and they'd say, "Man, he looks so smart."
I laughed really hard today because the screw up that he had singing "Happy Birthday" and he forgot her name. He's singing to the granddaughter, basically, or the great grandson or son's wife of MLK Jr. And he's singing "Happy Birthday" to her, and he doesn't know her name. So instead of him like saying "Mrs. King, happy birthday to you," blah blah blah, he her name.
Yeah,
that's how he did her name. He just did the talking.
The thing is, he's got Alzheimer's. Okay, I know that. I've had relatives that have had it, and that's embarrassing enough. Okay, the fact that they're pushing this charade on the rest of the country and everyone's suffering and the world's suffering because we've got someone who's not competent to be president. Okay, and what's really was sad was when Obama was president, 2 terms, and he calls his wife of many, many, many years Michael. I mean, who does that?
Somebody who has a husband named Michael.
I'm just saying little things like that are different when you're younger and you're married, because people don't understand when you have Alzheimer's, you remember the old times. It's the newest stuff, like if you ate this morning is the things that go away first when you have Alzheimer's. You remember the people from 50 years ago. You remember your wife or your children. Those are that's grandkids disappear. Your everyday routine, whether you took a bath or you brushed your teeth, things like that on a daily routine or this week, that type of thing. That's what goes first. And so his wife, who's going to remember her, he's never going to forget that part, because that'll be the very last things that go when you have that kind of an illness. But to call your wife that you've been married to for 20 years or whatever, seen every day, a different name, that is that's just not normal. You know what I'm saying? That's just not something you do. Yeah, I mean, I saw 2 interviews. I saw these two guys that did an interview, and one of them was saying that he was at a place, an actual, party or whatever you want, a sex party or whatever, and that Michael had a bigger one than her husband. So, I don't know what to believe unless it gets whipped out right in front of me. I'm not going to know. The only way to do it would be to go to a gathering and shake hands, wipe your hand off, send it off to the DNA, and just have it tested to see if it's male or female. And then you'll know for sure yourself. Real simple to do it that way. You just got to be a donor. All you got to do is, get your friends all together and get $500 a donation and go to a VIP dinner, and then everyone gets to shake hands with the people. Shake hands. You take your hand, that you just make sure you clean it real good with a wet wipe or whatever, and then shake hands and wipe your hand off with the stuff that comes in your little kit, and then stick it in the little dill and mail it off. If it comes back male DNA, you can just say, "Here we go, I got proof." But you won't be able to tell anyone. I mean, just your friends and stuff, but at least you'll know for sure. That's what I was saying. I was joking about it on Twitter. I said, heck, I'm starting to see more and more people that are, sharing pictures and stuff, and they're admitted that they're male, and they look better than me. Okay. And I was born with all my parts, but they look damn good. So it's like, shit. A guy that bumps into this person at a bar, they're not going to know that it wasn't a woman. Okay. That they can never have children or whatever with this person. It's getting to the part you're going to have to start doing blood tests again, just to prove that you're marrying the opposite sex, even for women, more and more women are having changes and becoming male. So, even the women, I mean, I think that should be a law if people want to have it in their state where you have to do a blood test to get married. I think my mom said they should do that. I don't know why they did blood tests years ago to get married, but they're going to have to start doing it again just to make sure you're marrying the opposite sex or whatever it is that you want to marry to prove they are who they say they are. It's, that's kind of spooky to think about, but
It is. We're going to wrap up the chat for tonight. Appreciate every one of the chatters that came in tonight, people that were waiting on us to get things started. We really thank you. Without you, there would be just me and Janet talking to walls. And I'm sure I could talk to walls all day, but it's a lot more fun to have you guys interacting with us and talking with us. And I really want, if there's something you're looking for, like earlier in the chat, 6 Nations 31 Kings is looking for a movie, and I did a couple searches and I found something on Daily Motion, 1978 Doctor Strange movie, and it's what he was looking for. So looks like I'm getting kind of good at this. Anybody here have any questions or anything, send it to me via Discord. We'll be reviewing the Raid Redemption or the Raid Part 2 Sunday night over there in my channel, probably about 9 o'clock at night. Just swing over there and step on in. If you've not seen the movie before, I'm going to be muted, and I'll be muting people as they step in. If they want to talk, I've got a chat area for that, but afterwards we can discuss things and be more than happy. The next 2 movies I'm going to pick 2 weeks from now is going to be Imagination Land. It's a South Park special. And then a month from now, 4 weeks from now, it'll be The French Connection with Hackman and
I definitely want to see that one.
But anyway, next week we'll be doing the Raid Part 2. Everybody have a great night. Thank you for staying so long. I didn't mean to almost get 3 hours, but
yeah, it's amazing. Time goes by really fast.
Thank you. Appreciate you all. Thank you, Janet, for being part of tonight's stream, hon.
Thank you for having me. Thank you guys for showing up. I really, really, this is like awesome. So I love it. I love doing it. I love talking about movies. I enjoy you guys in the chat, and one of these days I'll actually learn how to sit here and just like type back to everybody and read it at the same time and stuff like that. Hopefully
Yeah,
one day.
it takes time. It takes time. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Good night.